Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100%. Ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there.
That's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
So I think we need an intervention, okay? I need help. I need group effort here. Welcome in the TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. Today is Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024. So I heard from several people, not just one, that I'm drinking. This is one in particular. This is from Hunter on the YouTube page. He says, David, you're drinking the Kool-Aid way too quick. So I want to unpack that for a minute, because the comments that I made on the show yesterday, in my opinion, I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid, but I heard from enough people, it makes me say, maybe I am. I think what I said, Nick, you probably remember. Callie, you were not listening to me because you weren't working and you don't care. Just kidding. That was a joke. But that I believe that we're now at a point that we're supposed to beat the teams we're supposed to beat.
Yes.
We're going to beat the teams we're supposed to beat. That's what I said. That doesn't mean we're going to go 10-2. That doesn't mean 11-1. That means I know Bowling Green is dangerous and we're going to break that down. But I still think A&M at home wins that game. I still think A&M going to Mississippi State wins that game. I still think, based on what I've seen this year, A&M should beat Arkansas on a neutral site field because that's what they always do. Is that Kool-Aid? We can all have an opinion on this. OB, you can tell me.
I don't take anything for granted, especially a trip to Starkville, because I've seen too many bad teams in Starkville beat A&M. Arkansas looks interesting, but A&M typically finds a way to win. Usually it's because Arkansas does something to beat themselves, and we appreciate that. I agree with you about Bowling Green. You should beat Bowling Green. I'm not to the point where I'm going to say I expect them to win the games that they should win. I can be confident that they're going to win, but when I expect A&M to win, too often they have not.
That's a fair. But why do we change the coach to be in the mix? And what I've seen so far, should they have won the Notre Dame game? They should have. Is Notre Dame a formidable opponent that, to me, is one of those 50-50 games regardless of what Vegas says? Okay. So I'm not saying we should, I don't know if we should beat LSU. I think we can and should, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the inferior opponents that A&M has struggled with at times, we should, because we're Texas freaking A&M, beat them when they come to Kyle Field. And you know what? If we go on the road in the SEC with a vulnerable team, we should win that game too.
Should, yeah. Oh, I can be completely on board with shoulds. I would think A&M would be favored, obviously, against Bowling Green and Arkansas. Probably not against Missouri, but I think it might be a very, very thin betting line. I think they'll be favored at Ole Miss. I think they're going to be favored against LSU.
This all goes out the window.
South Carolina.
If they lose this weekend to Bowling Green or if they lose to Arkansas. I'm just saying, based on what I saw on the road with your backup quarterback starting, and this is a theme for Texas A&M, after so many games of should have won, I hope, more than I know, that we've graduated to win the games that we should win. I hope. I don't know jack. Nobody does, right? Penn State didn't know that game against Bowling Green was going to be tight.
Yeah. That's why you can't overlook Bowling Green. That said.
And they're senior-led. They're good.
That said, you know what? I don't ever want to overreact to one game, but it hasn't been one game for Marcel Reed, and I do think that he has brought, or he has helped usher in an explosive element that has been missing.
I still need to get Callie's opinion and Nick's because I want their opinion on this. But if this A&M team led by Mike Elko, this one, played Oklahoma State in the bowl game, okay? Who wins?
Maybe A&M. They almost won anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I rest my case. I'm kidding. Let's go behind the glass. I'm switching up the order. We got stuff going on. Let's check in with Nick Savage. Nick, am I drinking too much Kool-Aid? Do I make sense? You can tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't think so. No.
Beats the hell out of the hemlock we've been drinking for the last couple of years.
Would you rather me be like, I don't know, I think we're going to lose to these teams that we should beat?
Yeah, no.
That show would suck.
I was about to say, this show would be unbearable to listen to if that's what,
And if I really believed that, like, can you imagine, like, I'm going to see what the TexAgs guys are saying. Well, guys, I don't know. I think we should probably lose to Bowling Green. I mean, you see what they did to Penn. That show would be you're probably doing that anyway, but
I have a confidence meter. My confidence meter against Bowling Green is like 95%. My confidence meter against Arkansas is probably 55 to 60%.
Okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean I don't respect these opponents. That doesn't mean that I don't think A&M can lose to these. I just think we're not going to – the little things that beat you before, that, by the way, popped up a little bit in the Florida game. Some things popped up in the Florida game that could have cost you. You had a couple penalties on your first drive that could have, taken away points. Like, it did take away points. To me, it doesn't mean you don't respect the opponent, but Texas, Ole Miss, Georgia, we're not there, Missouri, they expect to win those games. And gosh dog it, I expect for Mike Elko and A&M to win those games. America.
America starts with A&M.
Yep.
Getting Jabri Barber back, haven't seen flashes from Terry Bussey, seeing what we saw from Marcel Reed, the way the offensive line is blocking. I still think that A&M's going to have an elite pass rush, even though we haven't really seen it yet.
Yep.
Got to tighten some screws in the secondary. But if you can't feel at least optimistic right now, I don't know. I'm not going to say Florida was a great team. Florida has better talent than their results.
Absolutely.
I was watching thinking, how are these guys this bad? And oh, yeah, coach.
Obi, they lose that game last year. They lose that game at Florida last year. I guess that's my point.
Well, they lose the last 3 years because it would have been on the road. But yes.
Things are better automatically. Backup quarterback, a lot of hand movement. Backup quarterback on the road, SEC opponent, where it was loud for the first 19 seconds. It was very loud.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now that A&M will be, what would it be, 10-1 when they're playing Texas. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not calling that yet. I just want to see them beat Bowling Green this week. I've become a coach.
Yeah.
The coach is always, all I care about is the next game. I've actually adopted that for this team. That's all I care about. What's the next game? Can you win that one?
I also know I've gotten old because you've talked me into things that old people think about.
Oh, really? Like what?
Can I say something that I probably shouldn't say?
No, I don't care.
Obi brought up to me I wasn't going to love the open air press box at Florida. And I'm like, it can't be that bad. It's like you're with the fans. It's like you're part of the game. When you're trying to write the post-game show and your notes and all the things that go into it, you can't hear jack. Richard Zane with text says, hey, what did they say in the press box? I don't know. Can't hear anything.
And then if the rain comes and your papers get wet, and if there's a gust of wind, your papers may go all the way down the press box. No, it sucks. The only good thing at Florida about the open air press box is you get to hear Tom Petty.
That was awesome.
That song.
I've always loved that song. In that environment, that song's really better.
It was pretty awesome.
Can you drink the maroon Kool-Aid again?
Oh yeah.
Is that Macho Man? Who is that?
No, that's the Kool-Aid guy. He breaks through the wall and he goes, oh yeah.
Sounded more like Fat Albert, but I feel it.
No, Fat Albert goes, hey, hey, hey.
Do you know what we're talking about, Callie?
She has no idea.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. All right. Drinking too much Kool-Aid?
No, I agree with you. I'm on your side.
We need somebody to be against me.
What's up?
We need somebody to be like Skip Bayless and just disagree with everything. I know that
if they win their next 3, I'm going to come up here with a big pitcher of Kool-Aid and just douse it on myself.
You make maroon Kool-Aid?
Don't say that, Ob, if you're not going to do it, because Florida State's now in a mess, and they think that it's all this one guy's fault, and they're like cursed. So
they think it's Mike Norvell's fault?
No, the
dude who said he was going to do the dude thing.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, I would.
No, we're not saying that.
I wouldn't
they
do
think
that.
they're cursed because he hasn't done it yet.
No.
I think they're
You know
wrong.
why they're cursed? Because they gave us a bunch of HELL, I think I can say that, for Jimbo.
What the hell are you talking about?
Bro, watch your mouth. You can't say hell on the radio.
Already, that's the second time I've said it this morning.
What the hell, man? Anywho.
I think you're spot on. I mean, I think you're making your assumption based on what you've seen, and we've seen 3 games.
And they should have won the Notre Dame game. Right. I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault. Anyway, we'll check in with you here in a second again. Here's another one, Bill Collier, okay? David, why do you think we open as a 22-point favorite when Bowling Green just gave the number 10 team, Penn State, all they could handle? I don't get it. And I think it's a big number, OB.
I've got an answer for that, but go ahead.
I think it's a big number. Here's a couple of thoughts on that. Game 1, Penn State did not start ready. If you look at some of these numbers, I was looking at it. First off, their offense has converted 52% of all third downs this year. They've allowed 27% conversion on third. The most impressive thing against Florida in the beginning was how many third downs and fourth down conversions the Aggies got. Here's another thing I found. Oh, by the way, Penn State had gone the Nittany Lions allowed a touchdown on his first possession of the game for the first time in 28 games. So that was something that I find interesting. But here's the thing. Connor Bazelak, who we saw the last time A&M won a road game before the Florida game, right? He threw for, 192 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half, gave them the lead. He threw for 254. In the second half, though, Bowling Green did not have anything going. They had 6 yards in the third quarter. They had 83 yards in the fourth quarter. So, in the whole second half.
I was going to say 83 in the fourth quarter is not that bad.
So all that being said, I think Penn State found their rhythm and they got going and the game became what we expected it to be. That's why I respect Bowling Green. I am concerned about certain things. Absolutely, the offense can move. But I think they found out that they were Bowling Green and Penn State realized they were Penn State.
I think the fact that Bowling Green gave Penn State such a hard time actually works in A&M's favor because they're not going to sneak up on you.
Right.
And secondly, Bowling Green gave up like 190 rushing yards to Fordham.
Rushing yards. And last time I checked, A&M has rushed for 300 in 2 straight games?
2 straight games. They're trying to make it 3 in a row for maybe the first time ever in a single season. The last time they had 300 yards in consecutive games, thank you, Alan Cannon, was 1990. They had something I don't have with me right now. They had over 300 rushing against Texas.
Yep.
They had over 300 yards rushing in the Holiday Bowl against BYU, and then they opened the 91 season with like 400 and something against LSU.
I like the way I set you up on that one?
Yeah, dude.
That was teamwork.
Nicely done.
Teamwork, baby. Here's something that James Franklin said about them. In the last 3 years, Bowling Green has beat Minnesota, beat Georgia Tech, and last year they were down 14-6 at the half to Michigan, the national champions.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good mid-major program.
Let's hear from Coach Elko. We got a couple sound bites to get to. I don't see what time. Yeah, we still have time to get to some sound bites. Let's talk about day-to-day Connor Wigman. I don't hear him. Okay, we'll get back to that here in a moment. Basically, he says he's day-to-day, week-to-week, whatever you want to call it. We will continue to manage the quarterback room and see where we will be. We will play the guy on Saturday we think has the best chance to win. You read into that line, or just a coach?
I think you stick with Reed and let Connor get completely healthy. And then if Reed continues to play well, that you don't mess up anything that's working. Kind of like when Tony Romo came back years ago, but they stuck with Dak Prescott because they were winning. But if he's playing at a high level, you keep him, I think.
Let's listen to him say it because he sounds better than when I say it. And because Nick edited it, I feel like I don't want it to go to waste. Here's Coach Elko.
So Connor's going to be listed as day-to-day and week-to-week, however you want to word that. We'll kind of get him through and see.
And see.
Kind of get him through, see how he goes, yeah.
Yep. The other thing, and I'll read it, Nick, don't worry about playing the soundbite. I want to read this one about the offensive line because I love this line from him. It's just a great line. I don't think I paid attention to our O-line in 2020 when I was here. We have asked our O-line to be the identity of our program. Dude, that speaks to me. Does it speak to you?
Yeah, I love that. I love offensive line play. Good offensive line play makes good football teams.
We had that going in 2021. These kids have embraced that for our program. Just look, there's a lot of football left, but having a good offensive line makes everything I said to start the show possible. Mm-hmm. I would love for them to be elite. I'm not asking for elite yet. I think that takes time, okay? But if you could be really good, this team will win significantly more football games just by that.
Well, again, last year they won 7 and was in position to win every game they lost in the fourth quarter with a, let's call it a suspect offensive line, right? So if you're improved there, I think you have the opportunity to feel like that you can win some of those close games that got away from you last year.
The last spot I want to play that I'll read in my best Coach Elko voice is about the quarterback room in general, right? So we heard him talk about Connor being day-to-day. The quarterback decision will probably be another game-time decision. We're going to re-image the injury for Connor, make sure there's nothing that we aren't seeing. We will sit down with our medical team and make sure we take care of it the right way. So the beauty is you don't have to rush him back.
Yeah, I think in a lot of situations, if you had your starting quarterback had something that, even if you felt like he was okay to play, if you were playing a team that, and not to be disrespectful, Bowling Green's ilk.
Yep.
And now that might come back to bite you, but typically I think you would say let's rest him a week, make sure whatever's wrong has more time to heal, and then go from there. And that's even if your backup didn't look, awesome
right
in the previous game. So that's why I would think that they'll go with Marcel.
All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, we're going to go through our performance of the week. I can already think of 2 for sure that'll be on your list, and it's okay. And there's a third on the list, all right? One that might be similar to what Coach Elko was thinking. But right now, let's talk Prize Picks. So, look, sometimes you got to listen to your gut when you go on Prize Picks and not listen to the experts. We have an expert in this building. He's not the tallest of human beings. He's very smart. Like, you give him a math problem, you ask him about the 1983 Boston College backup tight end, he'll tell you. I'm not going to say his name is Matthew Dawson. I'm not going to say that. He's usually very right. He might have led me down the wrong path this week because I had some winners in my head. I said it on the show, popping them out, and I went back and I looked like, yeah, all the things that I said, they took the line down because Connor wasn't playing. Yeah, okay. Follow your gut is what I'm saying, and with Prize Picks, you can make some money. I want to make sure that everybody gets that $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get those $50 once you play $5 in lineups. It is really the way to go about daily fantasy sports. They are the easiest, most exciting way to start making some money by just watching sports and picking, using your gut, not Matthew's gut, use your gut. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including the pros and the sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll. So remember Caleb Williams, he throws for a yard in September each week. You get an easy W. You can do that. I got that one. Thank you, Matthew. But other than that, I didn't get it so much. All right, go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. Again, prizepicks.com/TexAgs with the code TexAgs. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I said it right? TexAgs Live? I don't think I've made the mistake, have I? Do you guys remember a mistake since day 2? Okay. For a moment, I was like, am I going muscle memory back in the day? We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to do our performance of the week in a moment. But I'm getting there's a couple chats on the YouTube page that said, Davey, you must be feeling better. You look better. Do I look different?
Well, you look.
Did I look like butt yesterday?
Like what?
Like just like I didn't look well. Did I look bad yesterday?
Well, you didn't look 100%. Okay. I think you look butt every day, but.
You sure about that, Obi? You can't admit when a man's a handsome man. You can't do that. I have a hard time doing that too. Like Brad Pitt, he's cool. I ain't saying he's handsome.
Actually, I'm secure enough to say, if somebody's a good-looking guy, I say, you know what, he's a good-looking guy.
So thanks,
I say
Obi.
it every morning in the radio. I'm sorry, in the mirror. See, I even screwed up that.
Yeah, you did. And is this right? Like, again, I was off social media yesterday for the most part. I was off the news. Kendall Jenner's hanging out in College Station?
Yeah, she's here.
You're a big Kendall Jenner fan, right?
She came down just for Callie's birthday yesterday.
Was that your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Happy
it's
birthday.
Okay. Thank you.
What'd she give you?
I didn't actually go see her, but she was here.
Which one is she? The one who was dating my boy? That's the same one?
Who's your boy?
Who's your boy?
Benito?
Oh,
Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny, yeah.
Or is he? No, he was with Kylie, right?
No.
He was with Kendall?
Yes.
And anybody know? I don't know the Jenners.
Kylie was the one with Travis Scott for a really long time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, I know you're a big Bad
But
Bunny
she was
guy.
here.
All right.
She was doing her like college tours. She's promoting her tequila.
Oh, maybe they need a sponsor. Tex.
That would be awesome.
Anywho, OB, performance of the week. I'm going to give you the first two.
The first two?
Yeah, I'm going to be nice. I mean, because I know actually, I don't know what they're going to be. Nick has prepared a graphic with 3 that I know of.
Okay.
But you could throw a left curve, and he might be ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, I'm going to then take the low-hanging fruit. Marcel Reed. I'm looking for the rest of the year to watch some of that Reed option. I don't even know if it's spelled R-E-A-D. I just like Marcel Reed the way. And you know what? He left plays out there.
Yeah.
He'll get better as probably this coming game, because there were open receivers that he didn't throw to because it's his first start. But yeah, how do you not look at Marcel Reed? 178 yards passing, 83 rushing, probably the best juke of the week. That poor guy from Florida, I can't remember who it was, but his juke
that was so awesome.
Was up around his face mask.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Accounted for 3 touchdowns. Again, added a big play element that we hadn't seen consistently. So you have to put Marcel Reed in there.
Look, I'm excited about seeing his growth, whenever that is. If it's this week, if it's the rest of the year, if it's at the end of the year, if it's next season, whenever he gets his chance to shine. Because what I want to see is when he makes his adjustments after defenses have enough film on him and they make their adjustments. That's where the chess match happens.
Yeah. Look, I'm not giving up on Connor Wigman yet at all. I think he played really well the last time we saw him play, and we've seen him play very well at a high level several times. But whichever direction the Aggies go ultimately, I'm going to feel pretty good about.
All right, you want to give me one more?
I told you, in a humid, damp environment, moss grows.
Yep.
And Le'Veon Moss, his rushing totals were growing. Anyway, had 110 yards rushing, his best rushing day of his career. He was outstanding. And, again, 2 big runs, one where he's bottled up, it looked like he breaks it out for about 29, and then one when they're on the goal line, he just shot through a hole. I thought Le'Veon was spectacular. He runs like someone stole from him, and he's going to get it back.
He's going to get it back. I forget which analyst it was. Maybe Nick can answer this for us. Nick, there was an analyst on Friday on this show, somebody, God, who was it, who actually predicted that he would rush for 110 yards. Do you remember who that was who said that?
I think his name is David Nuño.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Nuño. I am familiar with myself. And thanks, Knack. Anyway, Sometimes I get things right. Because I get things wrong so often, I've got to bring up the fact when I get things right.
So did you get that on your gambling over-under?
I don't even know if I picked it. That whole 72 hours was a blur. I don't think Le'Veon was on my list. It should have. It was on my list on the show, on the fan show. I picked it, but I wasn't feeling well. So I said, Dawson, here's my phone. Pick my winners. That's exactly what I did, which I don't even know if that's legal. So maybe I didn't do that. I think it's legal. I said, I don't know what I did. But bottom line is, I got it wrong.
Well, I thought you got it right.
I got it right on the show.
Okay.
I just don't know if I did it on.
Well,
I have to
anyway,
go back and
the
look.
best rushing performance of his career so far.
And this is not a shot at Amari or EJ, please.
Hey, Amari.
They were fantastic.
Ran really well.
But if you didn't
caught
have
the ball well too.
If you didn't have such a gifted running back room, and oh, by the way, can you imagine Ruben Owens here too? I think if you didn't have such a gifted room where you saw all three backs on that 99 and 92-yard drive be a part of it, if you didn't have such a talented group, Le'Veon would have rushed for 180, 190.
Yeah, I think he could have almost set his number the way, and because of the way, and we can't put him out there, but because we only say we're going to do three, but the way Basantes and Zune and Reed Adams.
They deserve the love. They do. They deserve it.
And Fathery.
Maybe we come up with a new segment like the Pancaker of the Week.
And Shanahan. To be who can we get to sponsor the Pancaker of the Week?
I'm sure there's a breakfast joint in town that would be into that.
I know one that I go to every weekend.
Yeah. Maybe we need to text that dude right now. Like, hey, Holmes, let's do the Pancake
of
the Week.
Maybe we can just tap into that possibility there.
Good thinking. I like the way you operate.
Tap into it.
I like that. We're going to tap dance around that and go to the last one. Can we give Cassius Howell some love?
Cassius Howell.
Because Coach Elko gave him love. He knows way more than I do.
A sack.
He had that. He was great. He had, what is it, 3.5 tackles? 4 tackles, excuse me. He had the sack, the tackle for loss. That was great. Congratulations to Cassius Howell.
Well, we were expecting that. We're expecting him to come in and play well. So we just need to get all those guys playing really well at the same time.
Yeah. I bet you Cassius Howell's looking forward to this weekend too.
Well, he transferred from Bowling Green. He has I know he has a lot of friends still on that team, and he has a lot of loyalty or a lot of good feelings for the coaching staff that helped develop him. So I'm sure
he did speak
up.
Mean
a lot to him.
He knows that they're going to be ready for this one. He's got a lot of friends still there. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Charean Williams, we'll get the truth from her here in a moment. OB, we did say pancake.
Yeah.
But we could also say, you know what? Nah, Brontosaurus burger. Whatever we want from the 1775.
Oh, man. 1775. That's how many yards I think Le'Veon Moss could rush for if he didn't have so many other good running backs, right?
Maybe that should be what we ask him to do for the rest of the year. Aim for that number.
Aim for 1775.
Yeah. How much would he have to average by the end of the year to get there? Somebody do the math for us.
Probably about 150 yards.
I think he could do that.
Well, he could, except that, like you said, Amari Daniels. But you know what? And if he did, that would be almost as satisfying as lunch at 1775.
Since you're already going to do the maroon Kool-Aid,
yeah.
Here's the new one. If he ends up getting 1775,
yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to eat 17.75 pounds, excuse me, of food from 1775 in a sitting.
In one sitting? No.
Okay. Well,
how about if I just douse myself in that macaroni and cheese?
I don't want to waste that macaroni and cheese because I'm not eating it when it comes off your buddy. It's not going to happen. So
no,
we'll do it for the morning staff. Okay.
Okay.
The ones that we like. There's at least 3 of them.
17 pounds and 17.75 pounds of food.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m.
Spectacular barbecue.
And somebody asked us this morning, is it really that good?
Yeah, it really is.
Dude, we don't lie, bro. It's the best.
Right.
No lying. 979-492-6241. Check out the website, 1775txbbq.com. And we are back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We're about to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline, which is Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. I know a bunch of listeners have actually reached out to them. That's the place to go when you're looking for your new firearm. Let's go to that hotline, the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk Hall of Famer and good friend of the show. Charean, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing today? You sound like you have some allergies or a cold, baby.
I'm actually 100 times better than I was when I was in Florida. I was not doing well, so I'm actually on the way back. But yeah, I'm not 100% yet. I'm probably 86%.
All right, you can tell it in your voice a little bit. Feel better.
Thank you very much. So, but you know what? This is a fact. Everything is better when the Ags win, right? So I could have had the best day at the gym. And I could have run the 10 miles in record time. But if the Aggies lose, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, everything's better except the Cowboys' defense. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that because, I mean, New Orleans had a little bit to do with that. But things are good because they won on the road, Charean.
Oh, my gosh. What a performance. Like, you know, you're worried when Connor's out and not going to play. And then we get that performance. Where's that been? It's you know, I said this is a team that's going to prove week by week, and I don't think that's the best game we've seen from this team. I think they're going to get better and better and better and better as they go along. So you just got to worry a little bit about injuries. You got to stay, you know, healthy the rest of the way. But boy, they've come a long way from week 1 to week 3, and it was very enjoyable to watch and see. And shout out to that offensive line for the way they played. Just unbelievable. That's the kind of offensive line I don't think we've seen a performance like that since probably Jake Matthews and Luke Jokel were manning the tackle positions, and we had that string of first-round linemen, 2012, 2013, 2014 in there. But that was an outstanding offensive line performance, and everything else goes great when your offensive line plays like that.
Okay, Charean, so I'll put it on to you. What do you do with the quarterback situation moving forward?
Well, if it's a true meritocracy, and I don't know if it is based on NIL when you have one player making 7 figures, but if it's a true meritocracy, and I'd like to think it is under Elko, it's not a competition. I mean, the guy, it was Wally Pipp. The guy won the job. And until he proves that he's not the guy, you keep playing Marcel Reed. I mean, he won that job. He did better in one game than Connor Wegman did in 2 games. It's no contest. Like, we shouldn't even be having this discussion. And the only reason we're having this discussion is because of NIL. There's no question about that. NIL has completely changed the game. George, why don't you guys get this right? Why are we paying this guy, one guy who's sitting on the bench, all this money? Is it a meritocracy? That's what we're going to find out. If it's a meritocracy, we're not having the conversation. It's Marcel Reed's job.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's talk about concerns. What are some things that concerned you, even though it was an excellent outing? You know, some people were disappointed with the secondary, the penalties, obviously. The wide receivers still haven't really had that. I mean, there was the Cyrus Allen beautiful touchdown, but beyond that, they're still waiting for something from those groups.
I had 2 huge concerns. One is Randy Vaughn. You can't miss field goals. Those are 2 field goals at the end that would have iced the game, you can't miss field goals. Just can't. And he's too much of a veteran to miss those 2 field goals. I know he knows that. Got to get that right. He's been consistent until that, but that's got to be a huge concern, missing 2 in a row.
From 40 yards.
The game for you. Yeah, and you just let Florida hang around. You can't do that. And the penalties were huge. And a lot of them are pre-snap penalties, just dumb penalties. You can't have that. You can't have those penalties like you had and expect to win most games. It's not going to happen. They overcame a lot of them. To their credit, they overcame it, especially on that first drive. They overcame a lot of those penalties, but you just can't have that many penalties and dumb penalties. You know, some penalties, you understand, you're going to get a holding call at some point. You get some holding calls that it happens, okay? But the pre-snap stuff is just, it's inexcusable, really. I mean, Cyrus, right at the beginning of the game, what are you doing? He was 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, going in motion. I don't know what he was doing. I was screaming and yelling at that. So, you got to be better at some of those penalty things.
You're right, but at least he made up for it later. He got more than 5 yards past the cornerback, so he made up for it.
Well, my friend was laughing at me because I said, "What is Cyrus Allen doing? He got the touchdown pass last week, and now this is just bonehead." And then he caught, obviously, the touchdown pass, and I said, "I love Cyrus Allen," in all caps. So, yes, he certainly made up for it, and that was an outstanding play, one of the biggest plays of the game.
All right, Charean, let's move on to the NFL, and I'll let OB ask the Cowboys question because the Texans are 2-0, and I'm feeling good, so I'll let OB go first.
Here it is, Tuesday. It's been 2 days since the game. Has Mike Zimmer figured out what the Saints were doing yet?
Well, he better, because they face an even better rushing team this week in the Ravens. I know the Ravens are 2-0, but with what Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry can do, you better figure it out in a hurry. But again, it's that Shanahan coaching tree that ate up the Cowboys. Clint Kubiak, hats off to Clint, Gary's son, who just did an outstanding job with that Saints team and really has that offense rolling. They set all kinds of records. I think it's tied for the sixth most points in NFL history through 2 games. They're really got that team. I admit, I thought the Saints were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season, and they're obviously not. That was a big win for them, and now they get to go home. And I thought the Cowboys would be 1-1 after 2 games. I thought they would get blown out in one game, and they would blow a team out in one game. I just had the teams reversed. I thought it would be the Browns who would blow the Cowboys out in week 1, and the Cowboys blow out the Saints in week 2, and it didn't work out like that for the Cowboys. But yes, they better figure out that run defense, or it's going to be a long day against the Ravens.
Haven't they been trying to figure out the run defense for about a decade now?
Sounds all right.
Yeah, well, and they thought they fixed the defensive tackle position, and they just did not play well. And there was one play, I was looking to see if it was McCoy, but it wasn't. One play that Kamara had on a long touchdown run, and the offensive lineman was beating the Cowboys DBs, and he was escorting basically Alvin to the end zone, and the Cowboys are kind of loafing around watching the touchdown happen. So, they've got to have better effort than what they had. That just was an inexcusable performance for a defense that's supposed to be so good. You can't have that type of performance. And that they had a letdown like that. And Zimmer said yesterday he's going to get it fixed. We'll see. But again, you better get it fixed in a hurry.
Charean, I got to ask you quickly before we do Aggies in the NFL about the Texans. I did not watch the game on Sunday night. I was sleeping it off, right? Are they as good as their 2-0 record? I know there's a lot of expectations because of what they did last year and obviously C.J. Stroud being fantastic. But, are they trending in that kind of team that can win 10, 11 games other than what they've done so far, just from what you've seen on the field?
Well, they already have a 2-game lead in the division, so this division is not going to be that hard to win, I don't think. But, they're going to face better competition starting this week, really, better competition than what they faced in the first 2 games. What concerns me about them is they're not putting teams away. They had a chance to really put those 2 teams away, and they didn't get it done. They're selling for too many field goals. You've got to get more touchdowns than what they're getting. But they're a very good team. They're kind of like A&M. I just think they're going to get better as the year goes on and figure some things out. But they're very, very good. I think they've got a chance to do some really special things this year. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL and one of the best teams in the AFC. And the question is, can you beat Patrick Mahomes? And that's what we're going to find out.
All right, Charean, let's do the Aggies in the NFL.
Okay, I did not forget this week. So honorable mention, and we could have him in the top 3 like every single week, but Myles Garrett had another sack, another forced fumble, 3 tackles. Miles did kind of Miles things, so he was right there. 3, let's go Von Miller. Haven't heard his name in a couple of years. Had no sacks last season. Took a pay cut in the offseason. That knee just didn't come back last year for him. Well, guess what? He's back. Had another sack, 2 sacks in 2 games this season. Playing really well. They're limiting his snaps, which has worked really well for him. 125 sacks for his career. Von Miller is back rolling and doing great things with the Bills. Dennis Allen, head coach of the Saints, who came in and whipped the Cowboys' butt 44-19. Great job by Dennis. I thought this might be his last year in New Orleans, thinking again that they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're sitting there 2-0, one of the best teams in the NFC right now. So keep it rolling, Dennis. That had to be a happy homecoming for him, an LD Bell product, and obviously a good Aggie. So that had to be feel really good to come in here and do that. Tyrell Dodson, he got a game ball from the Seattle Seahawks. He got the closer game ball. He had a run stuff on 3rd and short in overtime to get the ball back for his team, and the Seahawks went down and won the game in overtime. So Tyrell Dodson, number 1, Dennis Allen, number 2, and Von Miller, number 3.
Charean, great job as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
There's Charean Williams on the Boss Firearms Hotline here on TexAgs Live. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. There was a good question that came up on the text line we'll get to here in a moment. OB?
Yeah.
I'm wearing a fishing shirt, right?
Yeah. Duck camp.
Duck camp, right? Those are my people. I've gone fishing with Steve Nagley. He's going to take me hunting. Bird Dog's taking me hunting as well, right?
Okay.
So Duck Camp's got all kind of gear. They got your hunting gear, they got your fishing gear, they got it all. They're Aggie owned and operated. Bird Dog is Aggie owned and operated, I should say. And they do an Airbnb for hunting, right? That's the beauty about what they do. They'll find you the right place. So if you go in your duck camp gear, you're going to fit in with all the Aggies wearing it as well. They have a streamlined booking process there at Bird Dog to make finding and booking hunting is very transparent and easy for you. They make it easy for the landowners as well, right? So they want to get more hunters and make more money for their ranches. They're the ones that take care of you. They provide a full service experience for corporate groups and friend groups. They're going to handle all the logistics. And right now they're working on logistics for my hunt that I'm going to be going. And there's going to be a couple of other TexAgers that you know their names, maybe a former athlete or two, going to be hanging out with us. And we're going to be doing it during the second bye week. So be looking forward to that information coming out soon. Brand new hunters, seasoned hunters, you name it. Ranch Consulting, they'll take care of it. The website is birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Go check it out.
Cool.
It's perfect song for your dancing during the break. You were doing a little Staying Alive.
I was dancing to
the jingle,
to the Aggieland Outfitters jingle, and doing the Batman dance.
And I think you were doing.
Well, I was going to do the.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, the roll, but then the Batman dance to that.
Well, by the way, this is the Go Hour presented by CC Creations, by the way. And we've got some text to get into, but you said something a moment ago that broke my heart. Do you remember what you just said? It hurt. It hurt.
Something about you not being handsome or something?
No, you didn't say that. You actually said the opposite. You're like, wow, bro. When I look at you, I see greatness. It was weird. I was like, okay, thanks, OB. No, you said we're a fourth of the season done.
We're one. We just finished the first lap.
Yeah, that's not good.
A race is never won in the first lap unless it's a one-lap race. But this is 4 laps.
If you're running a mile and there's 4,
you got 3 laps to go.
There's a lot to go.
Let's see if the Aggies have a kick.
Yeah, let's get some kicking going.
Yeah,
let's get some catching
always had
going.
a kick when I ran.
Callie Gardner. I don't know why I snapped at you. I apologize.
Every time.
I do that a lot. It's like maybe to let you know that I'm coming at you. Shooter McGavin.
I can see you now, though. So.
It's true. Shooter McGavin. Do you know who that is? You need to do research on Shooter McGavin.
Okay. OB's face palming
himself and he's going to be in a movie soon, by the way.
Okay.
Shooter McGavin. He is your new role model. Give me the text that we don't have time to answer.
It says, hey, David and OB, curious what y'all think about the lack of production from Noah Thomas. Is it because he isn't getting open? Are the QBs not finding him? Or are we calling plays away from him to save him for SEC play? He only has 11 targets for less than 50 yards all season.
It's concerning. I want to see him make some plays.
I want to see him make plays, but as long as other guys are making plays, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but I expect him to make some plays. I just want it to be on a consistent level, and that's been the hardest part about his time at A&M. It hasn't been consistent.
It's true. We've been waiting for it, and like Tom Petty says, the waiting is the hardest part.
Well played, sir. He always does a little pan. He'll look at me or the camera and let everybody know what's up, like headline OB.
I should have used that, put that in my column Saturday.
You can still use it. You can use it for something else. You'll find a way. Anyway, when we come back, OB, thank you for the show. We'll have Jamie Morrison in studio. Jamie will be with us, and then we'll have Jamie McCoy after that, and then the KBTX Roundtable. Of course, your text messages at 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Live. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I was doing it. So if you guys don't know why I'm laughing, Jamie Morrison and I just had a conversation about if he should look at me or at the camera. I was like, you look wherever you want. And then I just made it really awkward by looking at him during the intro.
And then I'm staring over in this direction. And then it made me think, what happens before every other TV show that I look at? So yeah, we're having fun here.
We're having some fun. Hey, you're having fun.
Yeah.
Is it 2 years in a row starting off 7-0?
Something like that. I was actually trying to remember what our record was last year. I mean, we might have lost the 7th one or something like that last year. But,
well, according to Sam, 7-0 start for the second straight year.
Oh, there you go. Sam's never wrong.
Well, slow down. I'm kidding. Just thoughts about the great start.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there were some matches last year. Excuse me, there it is. Some matches last year, I think Wright State, if I remember correctly, where we had to have a huge comeback, and UNH was the same thing this weekend. So I think everyone just looks at the record. They don't actually look at what goes into it. And there's usually one or two where you got to fight and claw your way back, and we've had a little bit of that. So it hasn't been super easy. It hasn't been all fun and games and rainbows and ponies, but it's nice to be 7-0, and I think that's a testament to the consistency we've been playing with.
Well, tell me, from a coach's perspective, there's a lot of teaching you can do in a close win, right?
Yep.
Like, you blow out a team, sure you can coach, but it goes in and out. Losing gets people's attention, but the best way is to win a game that you could have or should have lost.
Yeah, we actually had that exact conversation, actually.
I'm in his head.
Yeah, you're simpatico right now. I think it might have been Hugh McCutcheon, one of my mentors, but I think I've added to this over the years. But he said we can learn through history, heartbreak, or trust. And you can learn through heartbreak of dropping that match, which I thought we were going to. I thought we were going to learn some lessons, and we talked about what those lessons would be afterwards. You can learn through history of other people's mistakes. You can learn through trust of your coach knows what they're talking about, and your mentor knows what they're talking about, or your parents know what they're talking about. So we talked afterwards about some lessons. And then the one thing we talked about before the Louisiana match was just the thing that we were lacking in that. We had a response mid-set, but we didn't really have a response at the beginning of the next set of like, oh, no, you're not doing this to us. And I thought the Louisiana match was our response.
Yeah, you guys certainly did respond to that. Let's talk a little bit about the 3 preseason matches left, because I know that you have some things you want to fine-tune before the opener.
Yep. Yeah, we head off and we play Northern Iowa, and they're a really good volleyball team. Finishing in the, top 30, 40 last year. They were in the tournament, and then they're a good test. Then we head over to Wisconsin. And I actually have had this on the books since last year. And one of my goals is, and I think it's become pretty evident on this show, is to build a brand around our program, both in the way we play, the way we present our sport, the way that I come on the show, and that volleyball matters. And I think at Wisconsin it matters a lot. And we're taking some of our administration with us just to see that, to kind of pick apart their program and see what we can learn from it. And I'm excited to take on a really good volleyball team in Wisconsin. Then wrap up the non-con season with Troy and get ready for SEC play.
Are you at a point where all season long you're teaching and coaching, but at a point that you think you have found a groove to get you ready for the next phase?
Yeah, I was actually thinking this morning, what are we going to work on in practice today? And a lot of things are clicking right now. And we talked at the beginning of this season, like year 2 is going to be a little bit harder because we're a lot better. And now the areas that we're going to get better at aren't these giant gaping things where we come into practice and you leave 10% better. It's you come into practice, work for 3 hours, and you leave 0.001% better. And sometimes those are hard. So we'll always be fine-tuning. We'll always be trying to, achieve mastery in what we're doing. And that'll be a daily process.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the next week, all right? What does the next week look like for you all as you get closer to conference play?
Yeah, it's a lot of travel this week. So we actually have a 5-day road trip, which is pretty abnormal.
5-day road trip, wow.
5 days, yeah. So we take off tomorrow. We'll practice today, take off tomorrow. We head to UNI first. We'll practice there, and then we play them at home, and then we bus the next day. I think it's next morning, if I remember correctly, not that night. Over to Wisconsin, then play 2 matches in a row, Saturday, Sunday, and then fly home. So a little bit of a different week. And I was actually thinking it's almost like a Major League Baseball schedule where it's like, you kind of play this game, you leave, you go, you practice, you play again. But I think it's a good test to see if we can make those small little tweaks, maybe on game day, or if we can make those small little tweaks in the one practice we have in somebody else's home. So I think it's a cool little challenge.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, too, what the last couple of weeks have looked like, right? Or this past weekend and this one you're heading into, because it is so different. You have to play so much. There is not a lot of time for rest and recovery, right? But also, there's a physical attribute that prepares you for what SEC play feels like.
Yep. Yeah, there's a ability to, and like, I was not happy that we went 5 sets with New Hampshire, but I think there was all right, like we've gotten that amount of load, we've gotten that stress here. We've been through that now, which is a really positive thing if you look at it that way. But yeah, there's a physical piece and a mental piece to, you got to get used to the grind that is coming in SEC play. And it's only 2 matches a week, but it's a pretty intense 2 matches.
With having so many young players that are contributors, is this like, I think your veteran players probably understand that.
Yeah.
For the younger players, is it kind of eye-opening?
We're not necessarily young. We have some transfers that came in, so we have a lot of people that haven't seen SEC play. Mm-hmm. We have 2 people that came from the Big Ten, and I think the Big Ten and the SEC are the 2 best volleyball conferences. I think ACC has some at the top that are really, really good, but top to bottom. I think the SEC is a grind where you can't take a night off. So we have some players that are used to that. They've just never been to some of these places. They've never experienced some of the crowds, and they're pretty rowdy. And I think that's the piece that's new. Right. But I think we have a pretty veteran group that's playing at a really steady level right now.
Yeah. When your team is doing so well, is it easier for you to pick the things you're not doing well, or like when you're talking to them and trying to coach?
I think it's both. We talk a lot about superpowers that every athlete's going to have them and every team's going to have them, and that we should strengthen those as the season goes on. So we don't ignore them, but then we're also going to try to fill holes, and if there is a weakness, make sure we try to fill that a little bit. Or again, that idea of mastery, it's not really necessarily like a weakness that we're just trying to become a robust volleyball athlete that can do every single skill at a high level. So I think there's a mix of those 2 things, or 3 things really. It's can you strengthen the superpowers? Can you find some weaknesses and fix those? And then this is the season-long and years-long pursuit of mastery.
I feel like every time I go back and forth with your PR staff and Sam, he's telling me something new with Afena. This week this week that, and this week SEC Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week yesterday. Yeah,
I was moving yesterday, and finally I got to move in our new house, and like all of a sudden it popped up. I was like, man, like.
Were you expecting it? Or?
I don't know. And we had a talk against New Hampshire, especially. She's been playing so well and hitting for, I think she was hitting 580 or something like that coming into that weekend. And I think teams are starting to be like, all right, we need to put 2 blockers here. So I thought teams were intentionally trying to take her away. And the fact that she was still able to go out, and I didn't look at her overall numbers on the weekend, but still able to go out and put up numbers that caused her to be Player of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week. And is impressive, because I think people are recognizing how good she is, and they're trying to take her away now.
Are there other players? I mean, I know there are other players, but is there anybody else we go to read a read and like, pay attention to the way this player does this or this player does that?
I've said it before. I'm going to keep reiterating it. It's the 3 littles that we have are the backbone of this thing. Like, Fenna wouldn't have the numbers if we weren't passing well. We wouldn't be able to get her the ball as much as we are. And I think paying attention to the people that don't usually get the attention there, of those little things that they're doing, whether it be passing or defensively, that's able to set up the rest of the team to function. Like, I think that's the backbone of it right now.
Do those players feel appreciated by their teammates?
I think so. I don't think those players ever feel as appreciated as they should.
Right.
Just because, I don't know, if you're going to go on, let's say our sports on ESPN, they're not going to show 10 good passes in a row and be like, this is making SportsCenter's top 10. They're going to show this crazy kill, or maybe the spectacular defensive play that they're making. But I was talking to someone else. It's just about football. It's always interesting to me that the most important position is the least glamorous. Quarterback's pretty important, but like offensive, defensive line, like where the trenches are, is one of the most important places. But it's not the most glamorous. It's not the play. It's like, again, if someone made 10 good pass protections in a row, that's not showing up on ESPN. But it's one of the things that sets up everything else that happens around it. So. I don't think they ever feel fully appreciated, but hopefully me saying this on the air is possibly boosting that up a little bit, and hopefully people are paying attention to it, but it's really, really important.
How do you navigate expectations when you know you're better than you were a year ago, but other teams are better, and that doesn't necessarily translate into more wins or going further, although you want it to be, but like, is there a way to like, hey, it is still a week-to-week, game-by-game, match-by-match kind of mentality?
I think we're better than we were, but we're still an underdog in the SEC. We still have to go in and we have to prove ourselves night in and night out. And I think we have to act that way. We have to practice that way. We have to grind that way. So I don't think that's something I necessarily need to talk about, and I tried not to have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with Karch, the national team. He taught me this. I asked him at one point, "How did you do it when you're always number one?" And he's like, "I tried not to have expectations because expectations rob the joy from victory." So I think a balance of those two things. But we haven't established ourselves in the SEC enough to not be an underdog yet.
You strike me as somebody who, even when confident, enjoy the underdog mentality. And it's not fabricated. You find ways to wait, we're not elite at this yet, or whatever. That kind of thinking. I think
it's one of the easiest ways to play is, hey, I got something to prove and I have a chip on my shoulder, so I enjoy it. I hope our players did too. I
tell my children, all four of my kids, and they're like, "Who are these people you're talking about, Dad?" But I'm like, there's a reason Jerry Rice worked the way he did when he was the best football player in the league. He thought somebody was coming to take his job. Yep. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, there's certain ways that those athletes go about that they're crazy, but in a good way.
In a good way. Oh, I don't know. There's a balance there.
Well, this is true.
We all watched the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah. But he speaks to me, it works for me.
No, 100%. And I've worked with some of the best with the national team, and you always find them, and you're trying to find this balance between this perfectionism that's eating them alive, and also knowing that that's probably the thing that's caused them to be the athlete that they are today. And it's one of the things I struggle with as a coach is how do you do that in a healthy way that your athletes are okay with who they are, but still able to push themselves to be something spectacular. And that's a really, really hard balance to find.
Good luck on a great week.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Great seeing you. Right now, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff is back to tell you all about Aggie Land Express Car Wash, the new location there on Texas Avenue. You know about both of them, right? You got the Texas Avenue one, which is the brand new one. You got the original one in South College Station on William D. Fitch. They have all the services you want when you go there. But if you go to the one on Texas Avenue, they have the full service option, which is the newest in town. They'll take care of the cleaning, the drying, the vacuuming, the Armor All interior, all under a completely covered patio so your car stays cool and still hot out there. And for a limited time, they're inviting you to try that full service option for half price. Normally $40, they're going to do it for $20 off if you tell them that TexAgs sent you by. So if you want to try that full service wash for free, I'm going to give it to the first caller at 979-693-1150. First caller will get themselves a free car wash from Aggie Land Express Car Wash on Texas Avenue. Call us up now, 979-693-1150. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program, getting back on the football track. Jamie McCoy joining us on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Mr. McCoy, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing all right. I was a little under the weather the last few days, but I'm fighting through, and I'm back here in studio because I did the show from home yesterday. But I'm back, buddy.
Well, good. We're glad to have you. Glad you getting over whatever it was, and hopefully it stays away.
Yeah, I hope so, man. You know what, though? I said this earlier, and I'm not making this up. This is like the truth. When you're sick and the Aggies lose, you get really sick. When you're sick and the Aggies win, you actually make jokes. You don't feel great, but you put on a fake face. But when the Aggies lose, you want everybody to know you're miserable. And I can prove this because I have staff here that was on a document with me during the game, and I'm making my jokes, but trust me, I did not feel good. So when the Aggies win, I think everything is good, man.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm the same way. Nothing can go wrong when they win. Food tastes a little better. Drinks go down a little easier. It's just a great day. So, man, I'm glad to hear that you're doing better.
All right, man. So it's interesting because I like our tight end room, and I've liked it the last few years, right? And it's sometimes like the guy that you don't expect to be the guy becomes the guy, right? Max Wright always delivered when he was out on the field, right? Donovan in his freshman year was incredible, right? Jake had a big year last year. He's moved on. And Theo, like, we knew his potential, right? We knew that he had the size and but I was like, it's a project. It'll take time. That project is working out.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. It's good to see a guy, and you see this a lot with the NFL, whether it's a guy that's a basketball player that comes over to football and has only played the sport a couple years, 2-3 years. You kind of got that raw talent that needs to be tapped into, and that's exactly what I see with Theo. I mean, I know he had the talent and knew he could do what he's capable of and what he's shown on film now, but to see it actually come to fruition and him make game-changing plays, touchdowns, make key blocks for us, it's great to see. I only see his potential rising from here. I think that moving forward, whether we get Donovan back this year, which I'm still hopeful for, Trey Watson has also been doing a great job blocking. But Theo, he seems to be the mobile tight end that we need to get in space, and whether it's helping out on screens or whatever the case may be, catching touchdowns, it looks like he's growing, and I love to see it.
Talking to Jamie McCoy on the Boss Firearms Hotline. All right, I've waited too long. Marcel Reed. The guy, look, the 2 times we've seen him play, right, he's been spectacular, right? And one in a game that he didn't expect to touch the ball. And the second one, he found out he was a starter right before it happened, even though he probably knew it was possible. Well, obviously he knew it was possible. He was taking the ones for part of the week. But he just delivers, man.
Yeah, get this. I guess I need to be slapped on the wrist. I'm just not as tapped in as I need to be. My buddy comes over. I'm cooking this weekend, invited friends and families over, and he comes in and he's like, "Who's the starter?" I'm like, I think they're going with Mertz, or I'm thinking he's talking about Florida, but he's talking about A&M, and I'm like, what? Wait, man, I just assumed that he'd be the starter. But back to Marcel, to see him go out there and put on the show that he did, it's kudos to taking advantage of your opportunity. Not always are you going to go in there and somebody could get hurt in the game. Tomlin used to always tell us, you one play away. And it didn't even happen to be a play this game, kind of like the running back in San Francisco. You may have known about it leading up with practice and whatnot, but to go out there and actually take the reins and command the game and do all the things that he did, whether it was running the ball, getting the ball downfield. One thing I give him huge props for, because it was one thing I hated as a quarterback coming into College Station from West Texas, was playing in the rain. And it was a downpour, and we never had any issues with fumbling, any bad snaps, whether it was shotgun or under center. So I love the fact that he was able to do that. And then the second thing I give him props for is this day and age with the NIL and the people just leaving, transfer portal and whatnot. He put good stuff on tape last year. Now, I'm not sure anybody came knocking at his door trying to pull him away from us, but I think it goes without being said that for you to stay in the program with the quarterback like Wickman, Jalen, and stick it out. I mean, it was the same situation that I was in. Granted, we didn't have the portal that they do now, but I had Stephen McGee. Gerrod came in a little after me, Tannehill. It's like, guys, don't run from competition. Again, you're one play away. And if you love the school, stick it out. Anything can happen. And now we're in this predicament where are we going with one or are we going with the other, which is a good problem to have. But kudos to Marcel. He went out there and did an amazing job.
Look, tell me if I'm handling this like too much of a fan here. Maybe it's not even the fan. Maybe if I said it the other way. Maybe I'm too close to the situation. Help me out here, Jamie. I'm not ready for a quarterback controversy. I'm intrigued, and I want to see more from Marcel. I also haven't given up hope on what I think Connor Wickman is because 3 weeks ago, I knew what he was going to be. He had one bad game, and now there's like this hesitation, and then you see Marcel win a game on the road. You're like, whoa, wait, we haven't done that. So, like, I don't want a quarterback controversy. I still think Connor needs to get his opportunities. I also think, Marcel, buddy, I want to see more. I want to see a lot more.
Yeah, for me, it boils down to this. Knowing Colin Klein and how he likes to run his offense, there are things that Marcel presents that are more suitable for that, make us more of a threat with all the motion that we do with the jet sweeps. It gives you a whole different dynamic knowing that you got Lamar Jackson 2.0 that can take it out the back door and make one of your DBs fall to his knees. It's a total gift to have as an offensive coordinator and a offensive coach to just know that you've got that in your package. But then on the other hand, you got Wickman, who these guys competed all spring, even with Wickman having the hurt foot. They competed last year in training camp. There was enough put on tape and there was enough hard work put in that the coaches went and made the decision that they made for Connor Wickman. So, granted, Marcel went out there and got us our first road win in a long time. Not that he was the only one out there. You know, the Aggies did it as a whole getting the win. But you hate to see a quarterback lose a job for being injured, which I don't know if he's going to play this week. I know that he wants to be out there. I know that he sees what's coming behind him. You know, he's looking in the rearview mirror saying, goodness, this boy he's out here putting some good things on tape. So if he can't go this weekend and Marcel has another great week, I think it presents something to the coaches where you got to kind of make a decision of, do we like how we look right now? Is the team gelling? How does it feel? But I'm with you. I'm not in the position where I want to be in a controversy, but I know that if we do end up going with Wickman, he's got to know and understand that it's going to be a short leash. You can't come out here and have a bad quarter or two and knowing we got this guy just sitting over here in the wings waiting to come in. You've got to go out here and dominate and play to the level that we need you to play. Like the shirt I had on last week, the standard is the standard. And right now the Aggies are expecting greatness. We saw it this weekend, so it's got to stay there. It can't go down.
And when you have a young quarterback like Marcel, and honestly, Connor's a young quarterback too with his 10 starts, young-ish, if that makes any sense. It helps when you can run the ball and have a good offensive line. And, buddy, we can run the ball, and it looks like we have a pretty good offensive line.
Oh, my gosh. Talk about that. Shoot, Elko is such a blue-collar guy, and this is the absolute culmination of a team embracing their coach and embracing his style. In the years past, the Aggies have been out there on the field, and not that we've got punked or bullied or anything like that, but Saturday we had a level of chippiness to us.
Yeah.
It was like we weren't taking anything. Me and Terrence, we're 10 months apart, and I vividly remember, you know, I used to always just pick on him, do what I needed to on video games, in the backyard, front yard, whatever it was. But there was a day where I did something to him. He just kind of snapped at me and slapped my arm off or whatever and was like, we not little no more. I'm not taking it. And that's how I feel like the Aggies are at this point. It's to see them out there, like whether it was special teams, defense. I was more of a humble guy. I didn't talk unless you started talking to me, but I love seeing the grittiness. Torian was out there chirping on punt team. Lagway was doing something on the sideline after they came out from the break trying to get their guys going. And it was like, no, we're not having it. So to see us go out there and do that was great. But our offensive line, back to your point, 300 yards back-to-back games, that's no easy task. Whether you got 1, 2, 3 guys back there doing it, toting the rock. I mean, Le'Veon has looked amazing. It reminded me of Le'Veon Bell. Kudos to the offensive line. We finally are putting our stamp on people. We're moving furniture, and we're saying we're running the ball. You know we're running the ball. Stop us. And to this point, teams haven't been able to stop us. So I hope we can just keep it going, keep gelling, try to stay injury-free because we keep seeming to lose a guy every week. But hopefully we get guys back. But the offensive line looks amazing, and it's only going to help propel our passing scheme down the line. It's going to make the play action that much more potent. So kudos to those guys and the coaching staff.
Jamie, I want to bring up the personal story that has everything to do with this, and nobody's going to care. But just because you brought up video games, I'm going to bring it up. Back in like 1988, I'm playing Madden football with my brother Alex. He's an Aggie. And I was more the run and shoot type of offense, right? I think it was 88, 89, around that time, right? And I would be the orders, and I'd throw, and my brother would be the Bears or the Steelers, and he would do what Coach Elko did on that 99-yard drive. He would just run. Sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 yards, but he'd get 3 yards again, and and it would. When I want to use a word that I can't use on the air, but it would upset me so much. Like I couldn't stop it. There's nothing I could do. I was at his mercy, right? And he would win these games, and I could throw a touchdown with Randall Cunningham. With the Eagles in 5 seconds, right? It didn't matter. If he had the ball at the end of the game, he would win, and that's what the Aggies did. They dominated Florida with that running game.
They did. I mean, like you said, they were at our mercy. They knew it was coming, and they couldn't stop it. And as a head coach, I know Elko had to be proud as ever just to see. I mean, like I said, it's raining. You're out there soaked. You took their crowd out of it. Like I said last week, we get to a point in the third quarter where everybody starts leaving the stands, the crowd noise is silenced, and it was great to see them guys put that on tape. Real quick, the only thing they need to clean up is all the penalties. And to this point, I mean, Bond has been amazing. He's hit deep field goals. I don't know if it was the wetness or whatnot. I know he'll get it cleaned up, but nail those field goals and get the penalties out of there, and I think we'll be cooking.
Jamie, great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us a little bit later than usual, man.
Hold on. Real quick caveat.
Yeah.
I was talking to my son about it. He loves Moose Muhammad. And we got him a shirt last time we went to the game. And at first, against Notre Dame, I guess he was in trouble or something. He wasn't really getting in much. I'm like, man, where's Moose? Where's Moose? And then it just dawned on me. You'll get this reference, maybe not the younger kids younger than our age, but you remember the show Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yeah, of course.
Why is Moose not taking advantage of this whole NIL opportunity at the warehouse? There should be shirts with number 7. Every time I catch the ball or he catches the ball, they say Moose, kind of like Heath back in my Pittsburgh days. Moose should be getting up with the Bullwinkle antlers. Put this on a shirt. 7 on there, moves up under it. He needs to take advantage of that, man. And every time he gets a catch, I want to see, we used to have J-Train, we pump and all that.
Yeah. The Moose.
Get Moose active. Moose active.
Let's get it started. We just need him to play every play, right? We just need him to be out there playing every play. And because we know the talent that he is. Jamie, great stuff, man. Talk to you soon.
All right.
See you,
man.
David.
Y'all have a good one. Giggle,
man. Jamie McCoy there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. All right, we're going to come back with the KBTX Roundtable. We have Coach G after that, unexpectedly, because he texted me to change the schedule, and of course, I didn't look at my phone for like 8 days. Anyway, FBS Appliance, their team of experts are here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They have all the top brands to make your life easier, with appliances to fit any budget. They've been taking care of Texas since 1988, and they have all the trusted brands you can imagine. And the bottom line is they're going to give you the best customer service and the best appliances, and of course, to find those appliances that you need at your house, right? They have 8 showrooms across Texas. That's the beauty about them. You can find them all around town, and they have one right here in College Station, by the way. Visit their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. Together again, the KBTX Roundtable here on TexAgs Live. What are you guys arguing about?
I'm just saying
you need a countdown clock
because I didn't know we were coming on, and apparently it's right now.
As
I
we
need
were
an
saying.
IFB too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally blind here, so.
Anywho, let's talk about some Aggie football.
Let's.
You have been here. No, you've never been here for a road win.
No. Oh.
You've been here for a road win.
I was here.
You definitely have.
Yes.
It's been a while, here for but the neutral site wins.
The neutral site wins.
Arkansas.
We don't count those.
That's not real.
So, all right.
What happens at AT&T
2 years of traveling on the road, and I never saw a win.
That's depressing.
What I did see was 17-0, 5 minutes in at South Carolina.
Should have won that game still. Should have.
Should have, could have, would have.
Anywho, just tell me what you thought. What did you learn from Florida? Tyler, start us off.
Well, they're not the teams of the past, because I think last year's team would have found a way to maybe lose that one.
Agree.
I don't think, I mean, A&M was the better team, and that was apparent. Florida's just kind of a mess right now. But they were disciplined and did what they were supposed to do, and I learned that Marcel is a dude.
He is a dude.
Yeah.
Tyler's also a dude. He shot the game in the rain.
Tyler's a dude.
Yeah, there were parts that, I mean.
He shot it really well.
That 99-yard drive was very impressive, and it was awesome, but being there soaking wet with my camera was not as awesome.
One thing I noticed, and we'll get to your thoughts on the games too, everyone was talking about how bad the field was, and I didn't realize it until post-game. When I walked on the very edge of where the photographers were, how bad that area was. So I can only imagine what the middle of the field was. Could you tell from your vantage point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was all muddy. And I mean, there were parts, most of the places I could stand, there were some parts on one of the end zones where the recruits were, they wanted you to kneel. I avoided that because I don't want to be kneeling in the mud and all that. Maybe I'm a little too much of a diva, but.
TV guy.
Yeah, the field was kind of rough. It was interesting, yeah.
What was your takeaway?
I think my biggest takeaway is that even without starting QB, I think you can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yep.
I think Marcel proved that he can get points on the board for A&M when Connor's not available, and even if you still believe Connor's that guy, you have Marcel to back him up if you need him. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway from Florida, just Marcel proved. I mean, and the whole team said we already knew he was like that, and he just got to put it on show on Saturday.
Nicole?
We learned that they can win on the road. Who knew?
Is it your fault or is it my fault? Because they won on the road with me here, but since I've been here, A&M's been not a very good.
I don't think it's my fault. I just witnessed
coincidence,
right? But no, I feel like what we've learned is that no matter what game it is, like someone is always coming through. So they have a lot of options on offense, a lot of options on defense. If you like look at the box sheets, it's like, oh well, I'm still kind of waiting for someone to get a 100-yard receiving or rushing game, but it's like you have a lot of players playing, rushing the ball, you have a lot receiving the ball, and like Theo getting a touchdown was awesome. Like I interviewed his dad last year when he came in from Sweden, so I just know he was really celebrating that one.
I'm going to keep it with you. I said in the last segment, I'm not ready for a quarterback controversy because I still believe in Connor, and I'm going to believe in Connor. I can also believe in Marcel, and I also want to see more from Marcel. What's your take?
Yeah, I think with Connor listed as one as the quarterback, I think if he's feeling good, he should go against Bowling Green. When he played McNeese, they had him, I wouldn't say limited, but they, got him out after the second quarter. But yeah, I don't think that it's time for a quarterback controversy yet. I think we need a few more games. There's only 3 games into the season. Let Connor kind of get his feet back under him, and this is a great test for that. Bowling Green, they're a sneaky good team. But you have Marcel waiting.
Yeah, I agree because I think Mike Elko said it yesterday that it's such a small sample size for Marcel. I think let him prove consistency a little bit more before you can kind of say it's a QB battle. But I think he did so well, and I think it's nice to have kind of a dual threat quarterback like that. I mean, he outrushed all the running backs but Le'Veon Moss, and that's just impressive, and it gets the offense moving, especially when you can't get anything through the air. So I don't think there's controversy yet, but if he proves to be consistent, maybe.
It's only been one game, right? So, I mean, we've seen more from Connor. We know what he's capable of. But from the game we've seen, we know that we at least have a starter capable waiting. You have 2 starters, basically. And I trust this coaching staff to, Elko said, they're going to play the quarterback that gives them the best chance to win. It's not going to be a Florida situation where I don't know what Napier was doing with all right, this drive's yours, Lagways. All right, this one's yours, Graham Mertz. And they never got, A&M's not going to do that. So I think they're in a good spot with the quarterback.
Here's my Tuesday gut feeling, and it could change tomorrow or the next day, right? My gut feeling is Connor right now holds the cards. If he's good to go, he needs to go, and I think he would play Saturday. If he can't go, Marcel can take that job from him if he has back-to-back incredible games. Yeah. I feel like that's how narrow of a margin it is, that Connor's going to get his opportunity if he's healthy to be the guy on Saturday. That's not insider information. That's just my gut feeling. But if he can't go, then yeah, Wally Pipp can happen, and Marcel can take that job.
So you're saying if he has another great game against Bowling Green, no matter what Connor's health, Arkansas, Marcel is the...
I think you probably roll out Marcel against Arkansas, and I don't think you announce to the world, he's our QB1. We're just going to take our time with Connor is basically how I would see it going. But that's just gut feeling. How about the running game? You mentioned it a moment ago. Morgan, you start us off. Le'Veon, 110. And it wasn't just Le'Veon. Amari, EJ, and Marcel.
I think everybody but EJ averaged over six yards a carry. And I mean, just having that, I think they've been calling it a stable for a reason. And I know Nicole said she would love to see those guys or somebody break out for more than those yards. But I think when you have that consistency throughout, you don't really need a guy when all those guys can put up those kind of numbers.
Well, and we talked to EJ yesterday. It's like, what's it like, being in this Colin Klein offense? And it's exciting for a running back. And for anyone on that, because, you get Noah Thomas a carry. And, all these guys are getting touches in the backfield in creative ways. And yeah, it was the consistency. Like that 99-yard drive just kind of showed kind of what the running game as a whole, was capable of. There wasn't a lot. I mean, there were some explosive runs, but there wasn't a ton of just these breakout highlight plays. It was just chunk play after chunk play after chunk play, which, for our sake, when we're filming, sometimes isn't the best. But that's what gets you wins, is a consistent running game.
Running game thoughts. I mean, Le'Veon leading the way, but so many different options.
Yeah, and I think it's really impressive that they did it on the road.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like they went in Florida, McNeese, two different opponents, but being able to just control the running game on the road is something we haven't seen in a long time. So being able to have that in your back pocket when you have maybe a quarterback, not controversy, but you don't know how Connor's doing, right? So being able to defend, to rely on the running game is really good.
I wonder what Ruben Owens is thinking right now, right? Because we know how good he is and like how instrumental he could have been this year. He's seeing all these rushing numbers and like, I could be doing that too. I could be doing that.
So that was the first thing I said actually after the game was like, imagine if Ruben Owens was in there too. What?
400 yards of rushing, right?
Yeah, you just add to it.
I'm just saying, like, and all right, guys. So, what questions do we think? And I'm gonna let Tyler go first here. Can be answered against Bowling Green.
I want to see how the secondary plays against Bowling Green. We still haven't really seen a good, consistent performance from the secondary. And maybe a lot of that is, playing from behind, so Florida's forced to throw, and they've got two good quarterbacks that can throw. But I feel like they just haven't defended the pass a whole, very well. And a lot of that is the injuries and who they've got going. They're still trying to figure out the rotation. Elko even said, whoever replaces Tyreek Chappelle and all that, it's not going to be your normal guys you're thinking of. So that's the biggest question I'll be looking at is what does the secondary look like?
Morgan?
For me, we've seen them lose to teams that they shouldn't lose to before, App State. So I think Bowling Green isn't McNeese. Just can they put this one away and can they do it in a big fashion? A lot of points on the board. They just need to win.
I just had a hiccup.
Yeah, I was like, are you okay?
What happened to me? Hello.
Groundbreaking information there.
I had to let the people know I acknowledge. I wasn't going to play it off. I had a hiccup on the air.
I want to see them. I want to see A&M come out and score right away. Take control. You don't want to be settling for threes. And Randy Bonnies makes his field goals, but I want to see them come in and really put the game away in the first half, so it's not getting,
on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. Yes. Interesting towards the third and fourth quarter.
Got a minute here. 3 things. The KBTX Big 3. Give me your 3.
Theo.
1.
Big man. Marcus Ratcliffe.
Okay.
He's impressive.
Pick? Yeah.
He's a good place.
We'll just and then Mike Elko at the end of his press conference, the beginning of his press conference when he was like, it's been 0 days.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great way to open.
I think Marcel Reed is an obvious one. Cyrus Allen being the #1 target again, I think he's going to have a great season, just stating the obvious. And then also Bryce Anderson.
How about that pick six?
Pick six. That was an awesome play, too. The tip up, and he just kind of tracked the ball down. My big three, the offensive line looks legit and that they can manage and lead this team. The quarterbacks is not a question mark anymore. Marcel is a dude. Even if Connor comes back, they're fine at quarterback. And then Cassius Howell was a big guy that stood out to me, and just really that maybe we're still kind of looking more at that pass rush, but really the defensive line, even without all the sacks and everything, has done a great job of stopping the run like they did on Saturday.
Tyler Morgan, Nicole, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, Coach G will be here in studio. Right now, we're talking about sponsorship and vendor opportunities with the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, you need to check them out because they have a great line of events coming up here. You've got the All Aggie Hullabaloo, the Gathering, Aggie Ring Day, as you know. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. And they offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. There's also advertising opportunities in the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with a bunch of Aggies, you need to choose a partner that's been the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on ways to be available to join the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. That is sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. TexAgs Live. We're back here, presented by David Gardner's Jules Rollo Insurance Studio. Coach G's in the studio. Got to apologize to him in person. He asked to come in today. I didn't even look at my phone over the weekend. I am so sorry. You're here today, and we're gonna talk some soccer. How are you feeling about things after a up and down road trip?
Well, it's good. We're just kind of flush a tough Sunday after we're on a really good run with 3 wins in a row, 3 shutouts, and then we just kind of stubbed our toe against a really good UConn team. And now we go. It's a chance for us to kind of look at ourselves, kind of flush the bad, and we're still in a really good position right now. The SEC portion of the season, which is the most important part of the season, to date starts this week in Columbia. So Thursday, not only is it the all-important Talk Like a Pirate Day, it is the kickoff of the SEC soccer season, which is the really, really big part. For us, it's there's 10 games that is what you play in the regular season in the SEC. The SEC right now is very, very strong in the sport. So we go up to Mizzou. That's been a tough place for us to play. Stephanie Golan, who's the coach up there, has done a really good job of making it really difficult to play against those guys. Last 2 times we've played them, a loss up there, which is what eliminated us from postseason play for the first time in 30 years, back in 21. And then before that, we tied them here. So they're a tough out. So it'll be something for us to look at in the way that we want to try to kind of get ourselves back on track. But that said, it's all within our grasp, and we've got some great players. We've had some, just like you, we've had some illness that we've got to kind of flush that out of our system as well. But that's on Thursday, and then we're back home after a 3-game road trip. We're back home this Sunday for our annual Turnit Gold game.
Yep.
And the Turnit Gold game is against Oklahoma. So Oklahoma, the newbie in the SEC. That game is going to be at 2:00, and this is where we are raising money for the Turnit Gold Foundation. We've been doing this for more than a decade with Turnit Gold. Baseball started working with them last year, and they had a chance to do a whole weekend series, which is great. That they get 3 games. We only get 1 game.
So let's fill it up.
So a chance for us. We're going to be selling, auctioning off the jerseys that our players are going to be wearing. So actual game-worn jerseys. But we're also selling replica jerseys at the match. And I think that the guys are going to put the link with this on TexAgs, so people can look at the link for the auctioning the jerseys, as well as if you come to the game. I think the jerseys are $15 for to buy one of these replica jerseys. They're gold and white. And it says Turnit Gold. They're obviously Texas A&M jerseys. They're really cool. We've always sold out of these jerseys at the match, and all the money goes to the Turnit Gold Foundation. What that is September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and more than 90,000 kids a year perish from childhood cancer every year. So if you think about filling most of Kyle Field with kids, and those kids die every year, it's a pretty terrible image to put in your mind. But that's how many kids are dying from childhood cancer, and it's not a very well funded point of research by the United States, and we want to do whatever we can to help with that. And the Turnit Gold Foundation is an Aggie-operated foundation, Aggie moms out of Houston, and there's no overhead, no administrative costs. It's these women do a wonderful job with it. They'll be at the game on Sunday. So that's at 2:00 on Sunday. The game in Columbia is going to be on the SEC network. That kicks off at 7:00. So we hope that folks will check all that stuff out. The Aggie Soccer Hour is back on the air, starts tonight. That's at Rudy's Barbecue. So we hope folks will come on out, enjoy some barbecue with us. David Ellis and I will have players there. That kicks off now every Tuesday night, 6:00 over at Rudy's. We've been doing that for about 14 years. And just kind of we get back into our rhythm now of the SEC grind of going through for another championship. And we're excited to kind of get back into this rhythm of mostly 2 games a week and kind of getting ourselves back into the kick of the end of the season.
15 seconds left here. Just when you have a stinker like you had, how easy is it to turn the page and move to the next one? Because you've got SEC play now.
Well, it's easier to focus on because you have to do something about it. And it's good to get ourselves back into our home field to start training and to get it out of our season, get it out of our system to get the season back on track. And the SEC is a great way to focus on it.
Thank you, G.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you. Sorry it's so short. All right, we'll come back with Jordan Pugh as TexAgs Live. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jules Rollo Insurance Studio. Got to give a shout out to Brian Whitson, the general manager at Snooze. So he heard us in the earlier, during the go hour. We're like, hey, we should do a segment every week called Pancake, and where we can spotlight the offensive line that's looked really good. Well, he brought some pancakes there from the Snooze here in town. So thank you very much, Brian. Shout out to Snooze. And I don't think they're going to bring me any of the pancakes. I think people are already eating those. That's not very cool, guys. Yes, every once in a while I do eat pancakes. In fact, I eat pancakes often. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law hotline. Let's go to the hotline, Boss Firearms hotline. That's where we find our man, Jordan Pugh. Mr. Pugh. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
So you and I were going back a little bit on text. And
Yep.
You're a big Cotter guy. I think you're a big Marcel guy.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Well, first of all, let's go here. He played very well. I think that's the obvious statement of the year, right? The poise, the control in the pocket, man. Being able to make off-script plays, being able to manipulate the pocket to allow receivers to get open on scramble type situations. His feet, man. The one thing we talked about when they were heading into the Florida game is, I said that I felt like they've been holding back a little bit on the offense heading into SEC play. You saw them get more explosive, more vertical threats downfield, and you really saw him take command, man. He looked good. He looked real good. And I like the way the offense responded, but most importantly, I like the way the offense flowed. It flowed. It seemed seamless. It seemed natural. It seemed like he belonged in the offense. Now the coach hat on, if I put the coach hat on, the coach in me is like, well, it's a one-game sample size. The coach hat in me is he didn't win the job coming out of training camp. The coach hat in me is I know what Connor can do. So it's one of those things, man, where it's going to be interesting to see how they play this out because you can't deny what you saw on Saturday. It's undeniable. But also at the same time, you've seen Connor play well. You've seen him have his downs. The only thing that you've seen from Marcel is his ups right now. So it's an interesting facet, man. It's a good problem to have. I'd rather have a problem where my backup is playing extremely well. That's a good thing to have. So it'll be interesting to see, man, how they play this out.
Well, I said earlier in the show, and look, just my opinion of the situation is it's Connor's job right now, right? And if he can go this weekend, he's going to go, and he's hopefully going to light it up, right? And if he doesn't, well, then you got Marcel. If he doesn't go, and Marcel lights it up again, then I think the conversation does have to change, right? Like, I don't like the idea of a quarterback losing his gig because of an injury, especially if we've seen mostly good. But if you win 2 in a row and you look good doing so, like look really good doing so, and then you kind of you owe it to the team to kind of ride it out for a little bit. Am I right?
Yes, you're exactly right. If I was Elko, this is what I would do. Bench is not the right word. I would sit Connor. We're playing Bowling Green now. Of course, Bowling Green game, Penn State is scared. We know how that stuff goes. But you got to figure out what you have in Marcel. You have to. He earned the right to play in this game against Bowling Green. You know what Connor can do. You know what he possesses, man. You know what everybody around the country thinks. But you have to know without a shadow of a doubt what he can do with two games worth of sample size, right? I'm with you. I don't think you necessarily lose your job over an injury. But if the play is so good, the offense is flowing so well, the chemistry that you have as a team is all going in the right direction, man. It's hard to keep a guy like that off the field. The one thing that Marcel did, he opened people's eyes up to how dynamic this offense could be because we have yet to see it in the first 2 games until this past weekend. So right now, what we do know is we believe that Connor can do it. The one thing that we do know now is that Marcel has done it, and he's done it once so far. That's the dilemma that they're in right now. So, yes, I don't think you lose your job to an injury. But also, I think the play of your backup can take your job if an injury caused you to miss the opportunity to play.
Jordan, I know as a defensive-minded guy, you probably love smash mouth football on the offensive side too, right? And what the Aggies did to Florida, a defense. Look, I know they're injured. I know they're not good. I get all that. That was still like we own the line of scrimmage. You don't. We own it.
Yes. How many rushing yards was it?
310, I think it was.
You said 3. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter after that point. Look, one of the things we talked about going into the game was the run game travel. You saw the run game take a step forward against McNeese, and you wanted to see the same thing follow into the road. You know that the conditions are going to be crazy. Now, I expected us to play well. I didn't expect us to flat out maul those guys like we did. And the shining moment and the one thing, man, when things go up, when things go down throughout the year, you have one thing that you can go back to throughout the season. You can turn that tape on. You can look at how long of a drive was it? Was it a 99, 97?
99 and a 92.
Boom. Those 2 drives, you can always go back and tell your team that's who we are. That was beautiful. That was a masterpiece. And, man, I think, the energy that we played with, man, the confidence that they played with. You saw the linemen cheering when they were moving the ball down the field. this is something that you can build upon because you can build anything you want to offensively off that running game. And when you have three backs that are dynamic, when you have your offensive line that are playing well and getting up to the second level on the backers and sometimes into the secondary, that's a beautiful thing with play actions, with the boosts, with the waggles, opens up the passing game. Man, this is exciting. That was the one thing I was excited about the most watching the game, watching our offensive line dominate.
So, Jordan, I don't know if it's because I played too many video games growing up, but there was a part of me that was like, all right, now you can open it up with a pass because they know you're running. And OB was sitting next to me. He was like, no, they can't stop it. You keep doing it. And he was right. I was wrong. But there was in my mind, I was like, oh, you soften them up. Let's go over the top. Now, let's just take our time and eat that clock and end this game now.
When I got drafted by the Carolina Panthers, my rookie year, my coach was John Fox, okay? And we had two running backs with the Panthers, Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. And John Fox used to walk into the meeting room every Monday. We would do our post-game rap and all that. Then he would say, we have two of the best running backs in the NFL. We are going to run the football until they show us that they can stop it. That's exactly what OB was saying, man. If you have something, man, where you're just flat out just killing them, kicking their butt up and down the field, keep doing it until they stop it. To your point, to be able to run the ball is to be able to open the pass, and you saw that too as well. Man, the one thing that I really liked about our offense, and really Marcel, he was the catalyst, I think, of the game. But, man, when you're running that rock and to be able to get one-on-one looks downfield and allow our receivers to win the one-on-one battles, which they did a great job this week, there's so many options and so many things you can do from a play calling standpoint. It is a beautiful thing when it operates at the right level, man. So I'm with you. You know, it opens up the pass game really well, but also the football player in me, the physical guy in me, man, pound that thing and beat him into submission.
Jordan, let's talk a little bit about the defense. And are people overreacting overall about taking your foot off the accelerator? Or, the defense just, it was a bend, don't break at the end of the game. So what was your assessment of the way secondary played overall, the way the defense played in the second half as opposed to their dominance in the first half?
Defense played well. Overall, as a unit, played well. Now, if I'm a coach, the coach in me harps on the second half of the game, as in kill all hope, right? You saw a team that was firmly in control. Yes, in my opinion, we laxed a little bit in that second half. We gave too many instances where the game could have got back in control of Florida's hands. But overall, as a defense, the first three games of the season, I thought we've been lights out. We played a great game against Notre Dame. We looked at the game against McNeese, and it translated over here to the Florida game. And our defense has been the unsung hero so far in the season, right? And that's something that you expect with what Elko brings to the table. Our front seven is starting to get their rhythm now, right? You're starting to see a lot of mix and match packages, coverages. You're seeing Scooby Williams starting to come into his own. You know what York has been doing, but our secondary with Will Lee, Bryce Anderson. For the life of me, these targeting penalties are killing me on defense. But you're seeing the defense starting to be more cohesive. The chemistry is there, and they're really upholding this team right now. And right now, the defense is the MVP 3 weeks into the season right now. With what we've done, how we've limited offensive possessions. You look at what we did in the first half against Florida. I think we had 50 plays to their 15 or something like that. It was crazy when I heard that going into halftime. That has everything to do with the offense, but the same thing with the defense. The defense is getting them off the field. That's what you want. You want more possessions in your hand as an offensive player, but that coincides with the defense being elite.
So I'm looking at these stats from the first half. All right, here you go. I'll give you the exact stats. 20-0 is the score. Total yards, 302-73. Is that good?
Oh, yeah, I would say so. I would say so on a regular day. That's good. Yeah.
Rushing yards, 197-7. Is that good?
That's all right. Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Passing, 10-15, a touchdown, 105 yards to their 6 of 11, 66, and a pick. Which was the last play of the half?
Right. I mean, it sounds like a winning formula to me. Look, the defense, I'll say it again, the defense has been playing well all season up to this point. You look at what we've done, what we did against Notre Dame. I can't remember what the final score was. I think 16 points or something like that. You hold McNeese to 10, whatever that is. But overall, the defense is getting the ball back to the offense and creating more possessions. That's what you want, and they continue to get better each and every week. That's fine if the defense is the unsung hero, but man, the defense is doing their job this season, and it's exciting to watch.
Are you not worried about the lack of sacks, like the big numbers of sacks? Because, Nick Scorton last year was amazing, and he still has plenty of time. And I think if I remember his stats last year early, it took a little while for his numbers to start coming.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, defensive line, they are getting to the quarterback. They are affecting the rhythm, but they're not getting the sacks and numbers, at least, that I was kind of hoping to see.
Yeah, you want the sack game, but you also want the pressures. The pressures coincide with the sacks. That's still a concern. If I'm looking at it from a defensive perspective, I still want to see more QBs on the ground from a D-line perspective. But also at the same time, they're still affecting the football game because they're creating an enormous amount of pressure, and that's what you want. Now, with that being said, the sacks will come. The more pressures you create, the more opportunities you have to get sacks. But yet the game plan is still the same with opposing offenses, how fast they're getting that ball out of their hands. When you look at what they did with Lagway, how they tried to move him more out of the pocket, more quick rhythm passes, more RPO looks to get the ball out. People are fully aware of what we have on the defensive line, and they are game planning against that. Now, that's working in our favor when it comes to total defense, when it comes to secondary, but it's not working in our favor when it comes to the sack.
Penalties were an issue. Too many penalties. And the difference, though, is penalties, at least in this particular game, did not derail your chances to win. But still too much.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that, too, is early season. Now, a lot of them are bonehead penalties. You just can't make those, right? If you want to win the big games, if you're preparing to make the run that you want, you got to eliminate those type of penalties. But also at the same time, man, being able to overcome them are also big as well. That's one of those things you got to fine tune. You just got to drill in and hone in over and over and over again if you're a coach, right? To make sure that you're not shooting yourself in the foot, to make sure that you're continuing to preach discipline as a unit. But that's something that we can fix. Penalties are fixable. You can fix those things. And that's something that I'm not worried about, but you have to get that under control.
Yep, we're talking to Jordan Pugh here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Let's talk a little bit about a theme that I had to start off the show. And tell me how you feel about this. I drank some Maroon Kool-Aid after the win on the road, right? I'll admit it. It's fine. And I feel like moving forward, the expectation is, for me at least, the games that A&M should win, they'll win. I know it's not a fail-safe philosophy, but in years past, I thought they'd win, but I'd also think they'd find a way to, and I don't think that anymore. Like, sure, there's some tense moments in the Florida game, but I didn't really think they were going to lose ever, right? Like, I don't want them to get closer. But I feel like they've gotten to a point, like, if they should win, they're going to win.
Well, see, there's nothing wrong with having expectation. That's what you want. So, right. I mean, people kill me with that argument, man. You don't want to, do too much. You don't want to, have too many expectations. But, man, that's the nature of the game. That's what you came here for. That's what you're playing Power 5 football for in the SEC, is to have those expectations. And you should have the expectations with the talent that we have on the roster. Why would you not? Look, we're fully capable of winning any game that we play, man. And the games that we should win on paper, we should be able to dominate those matchups. To me, that's not an unreasonable expectation. To me, that's just what the standard is. So, with that argument, as a team, they have shown you what they are capable of. They have shown you what they can do. I expect to see that week in and week out. Yes, there's going to be down moments. Yes, there's going to be bad plays, all that. But they've shown you what they can do now. So now the expectation and the standard is set. The standard has always been set, but now you want them to stay at that level. So there's nothing wrong with that expectation.
A question came up on the YouTube chat, and I think it's a good one for you. B. Glow, who's a football coach, he says, we need to figure out who the nickel is. So now that Tyreek Chappelle is done for the year, unfortunately, and he's going to be able to redshirt, hopefully he can come back to A&M next year, or unless he tests the waters at the next level. But because of that situation and Coach Elko being so high on the way Chappelle was playing there at the nickel, what do you think they do?
I think they go with their 3 down front, more of a 3-3 stack look like they did against Florida. I think that defense fared very well and allowed our linebackers to be able to play in space and be able to rush. So you saw Scooby Williams affect the pocket a couple of times. You saw him make plays in the backfield when they went to that 3 down look. And with the 3 down look, you're able to switch and mix match coverages, right? You can play match man coverages. You can play zones. You can disguise very well. And they were talking about that on the broadcast a lot, especially in that second quarter, how we were mixing packages going into the 3-man look. I think that's what they're going to lean more towards. Look, the nickel position is a hard position to fill, and it's a hard position to find a good player in. because it's one of those deals where you have to have a guy who could play the slot receiver, one of the hardest positions to cover. I know that I played nickel when I was at A&M, played nickel when I was in the NFL. You got to be able to cover a guy all over the field who has three options as a route. You got to be able to fill in the box and be a pseudo linebacker. You got to be physical in the run game. So it's one of those things where you got to find the right guy, enough speed, enough physicality, and who's willing to stick his head in on the run game. With the three-man look, with the stack look on defense, I think that fits them well with their personnel, and I think they can have a lot of success in that look.
Jordan, I'm going to read you these last couple of texts here on the TexAgs live chat, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. LG Aggie and then Ag Engineering 12, all kind of with a string of thoughts. Only 2 passes attempted in the second half, 1 for 73 yards. We didn't attempt a pass after the pick 6. So the final 16 minutes of the game, no passes. That's talking about taking the air out of the stadium, right?
Right. I mean, there's no need to pass when you're dominating the run like we did. Look, there is nothing sweeter than watching your O-line whoop somebody's D-line. People got to understand that, man. That's just maybe that's just a football player in me. But when you're physically dominating somebody, there's nothing better than that. Now, there was no need to run. You had such a big lead. You're trying to run the clock out. All right. Now, as much as we had success in the pass game, you're still taking a risk in that pass game, especially with a big lead. You don't want to give life back to them, especially at home. So that's good, man, to be able to run the ball like that, especially in the second half with a lead.
No doubt about it, man. Great to talk with you. And by the way, it's also great to talk to you knowing that the offensive line is probably a strength and an asset of the team.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Look, by the way, I'm working on coming down there. I know we talked about this. All right. I'm trying to get down there for the Missouri game.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get down there for the Texas game.
Okay. All right.
Now, I just found out we got a baby on the way. So
congratulations, man.
And I'm a little excited. I got my son. So I'm finally not the only man in the house.
All right. What a blessing, man.
So we got some things we got to work out. So I just figured I'd let, the Aggie world know that we got a little one on the way. And start getting them prepped on the Maroon and White, man.
Hey, what a blessing. Praying for you. Love it. And I can't wait to see you here in studio because it's been too darn long, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Look forward to it.
Talk to you soon. Jordan Pugh there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. When we come back, Gerrod Chadwell in studio. Let's chit-chat with him about all the great things. He's got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm looking forward to talking to that. And Stacy's got a lot of stuff to talk about as well. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films and Chance McClain. YourHeritageFilm.com. Check out the website. They make documentary films. For me, it's about doing it for my dad and my mom, right? Like that was why we did it. I want my dad's story. My dad's 94. I wanted his story captured on film about escaping Cuba, meeting my mom, coming to the States, being a dishwasher here because his education from Cuba didn't really match the United States. When he got here, that's what he was, just like Scarface, by the way, but without the drugs. And then my dad, got his, he went back to school here in the States and became a civil engineer here in the States as he was in Cuba, and then just dominated, and all these cool stories about my dad growing up here, or me growing up here and watching my dad just be the champion that he is. And now my kids get to see that story. They've lived with him, they see it, and now they can share it with their kids later on in life. That's why we did our heritage film. Why would you do one? We all got a story, family business, family ranch, somebody in your family you want to honor. Maybe you want to just tell your story. Whatever it may be, let Chance and his team do that for you. The phone number 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That's yourheritagefilm.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Gerrod Chadwell in studio, women's golf coach. And you walk in here, you're like, whoa, what have I walked into?
No, what? And I didn't feel like I was in College Station anymore. It feels like I'm in Bristol or something. Like
Right?
that. Yeah, y'all did well.
I've been to Bristol. College Station's a better town.
Yeah. Without saying. Yeah. But we can leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
This is impressive.
Now, if ESPN wants to call me for a big contract, I'm not going, I don't think. Anyway.
Lucci might need a loan. He spent some money here.
This was a family project. We had the Jones family involved. David Jones, his dad, we did it right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we're blessed to be here. How about the last weekend? What a run for you, right?
It's been,
Stacy,
Yep.
What a great weekend.
Great week. We were talking before we came on. It was just, that you just didn't want that. Obviously, I was missing what was going on here, but you didn't want that week to end. That team was very special. Just what you saw on the first tee with everybody dancing, singing, that was like every bus ride, every team room. Like, they literally carried a Bluetooth speaker with them, and it wasn't a big one. It was just so much fun to be around. And the fact that, Stacy's journey through all that really began in 2019. The only injury that she's really ever had in her career, she went over to Scotland, couldn't play. So kind of was, you could call assistant captain role when she got over there and couldn't play. And then she was left off the team in 21, which is a heartbreaker because that was in Toledo, Ohio, where she was born. And she did a lot of things to get that event there. And then for Spain last year to end in a tie is really just outside of soccer.
Right.
Just ties suck, and you just put all that work into it. And so really I said this to a lot of people there, I've never wanted something more for somebody outside myself than for her for that team to win, for her to be able to celebrate that, because it's a lot of late nights. Just what she has poured into that inside and outside the ropes, that event has forever changed for her captaincy.
Well, I remember when she came to the studio with you and we talked about changing the culture and all the good things and to see it come to fruition. Yep. You're watching, you're a part of it, but you're watching how proud you must be.
Yeah, it's in last year in Spain, they actually had the momentum with a couple holes left, and just like that with match play, Carlotta went on a streak and birdied 2 of her last 3 holes and it wound up clinching that point for them to end in a tie, which they had the cup, so a tie, they retained the cup. Nobody really won it, but they retained the cup. But to see that stuff carry over, you could see, to go over to foreign soil and play to a tie is really, really good golf. Because they hadn't won in, I don't know, since 17.
Yeah.
So, just to see that stuff carry on with a lot of familiar faces and really a lot of the same game plans. And it kind of got a little bit uncomfortable at the turn, but they had played really well in the back 9. And then, I was walking with Lilia's match, and she was 2 down with 2 to go, and then birdies 17 and 18 to get the halve. And it was epic, just so cool to be a part of that.
People are like, you must talk a lot of football at home. And I'm like, I do, but it's not as much as you would think. So how much golf do you guys talk at home?
Because it's everything else, right? We actually just, I just enjoy being home.
Yeah.
Home for us is, in a lot of the summers, it's just a hotel room somewhere else and where we're together. But, my team was very understanding for me to spend that week with my wife and support her and be there with Chesney. And, she played the British Open at St. Andrews, so I got to spend that week with her. And so my bunch is very understanding with that, but I've truly missed him and ready to finish this fall off right.
Let's talk about this upcoming weekend. Brandon sent me a note. Tennessee, the same course that you all played in the regionals in your first year, where you had to do that huge comeback.
Yeah, there'll be some. Really, Adela would probably be the only familiar face from that week. Obviously, Kata was familiar with what was going on because Blanca was on the team, but I have a lot of great memories there. Stacy's coach actually teaches out of Vanderbilt Legends, but my teams at OU, we finished 4th or 6th in nationals there, had an individual national champion. In 2019, we won there at Houston, so I love that golf course. Obviously, I love Nashville, but I'm excited to get there with them. And Kennedy Adams, our transfer from Alabama, is from Nashville. So be some new faces, but a place I'm very familiar with. And I'm excited to go compete with them.
I love Nashville. Nashville is a cool
It's really
town.
good. And Franklin we're outside of that, but really good golf course. They just had a Corn Ferry event there, so that golf course will be ready to go once we get there, and I'm excited to get learn where we're at and figure out how to get better.
How's Vanessa fitting in?
Vanessa's fitting in great. Freshman. She's going to have a chance to be freshman of the year in the SEC. She hasn't played her best yet, and we're getting closer to that, but probably trying to help her with stuff more off the golf course of expectations and getting truly her feet set. But she's crushing it in the gym. She's fitting in great with the team, so really excited for her this year of watching the growth that she's going to have, because she was an elite junior, but you kind of start over. Yeah. And she's in that process of, she's very comfortable, I think, with the team, but just now, every time you go out is a very strong event.
And what about Adela? We all know the year that she had, but following that up is difficult because there's higher expectations, and she's got a new standard.
She does, and she's setting a new standard for us here too. Qualifying, she is in a league of her own in qualifying here, and so that sets a bar high for everybody to try and keep up with, and just keeping up with might be a win. If you beat Adela, you've definitely beat a world-class player. But just recently we named her team captain, and it's only the second team captain I've ever had, and so that speaks to who she is off the golf course and how she's doing things, and going to lead a younger team, just probably from inexperience, but I'm very excited for her for the year she's going to have. She's going to go through stage 2 of Q school next month, similar to what Jenny did to get her status. That way, when we finish up at Nationals, she can go out and start embarking on her professional career. But she's still striving to get better. This summer was very, very big for her to seeing what professional golf looked like, and just as much off the golf course as on the golf course. So she's trying to get those affairs in order and still chase a lot of people in a different league. So very excited for her.
You mentioned the second time you've had a captain. Is that because you feel like sometimes you don't just name one to name one, you have to have a purpose and a reason behind it? Yeah,
I think, and I don't say this as any slight for male and female sports, I don't want to set somebody up for failure. I think there's respect earned more off the golf course than it is on. It just so happens that, helping her out a little bit, she's the lone senior. Yep. Haley was the lone senior. But we had a lot of talks about that this summer, of just what it looks like to be a leader. Not even captain. I didn't talk to her about being a captain until school started, but I knew she had her priorities in order. Last year in her national championship run, all she cared about was where the team was at. Yep. And I think that through hard conversations with the girls, or helping us lead the girls as well, she'll always put the team first. And I think once somebody that's true to their core, I think leadership is pretty easy. And team captain is just a name on top of that.
Before I let you go, you mentioned Kata earlier. What can we expect in year 2?
I mean, first tournament was better than it was last year. Her and Adela are rooming together, which I think will be great.
That's great.
She's chasing Adela around, but also Kata's handling her business better off the golf course, learning how to take care of her body. Just that the way Kata does things is at a different speed than others. And she does it when she wants to do it. And I think seeing just a little bit more maturity in that. I think there's a lot of trust there of us providing a plan for her to get better. I think she's comfortable. I think, in fairness, there's a little bit of correction coming from European junior golf to high amateur golf here. I think we're going to see a great year from her. And scores at home have shown that too.
Gerrod, I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on a great week, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Tell Stacey congratulations.
Will do.
So when you're ready to watch some golf on TV, you want to go eat at a cool place, you want to watch some football, I got the Varsity Grill House for you here in College Station on Highway 6, right next to the Academy. Great food, great atmosphere, great people. When you go there, you're going to love the entire experience. You can get, it can feel, it's like a high-class sports bar, I guess, if you will, but it's also like a high-class dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever you want to do when you go there, you're going to love when you go to the Varsity Grill House. Great atmosphere, mouth-watering dishes, a dozen signature cocktails at the bar. They've got great desserts as well. It's a place that you can do a little bit of everything. Take your kids there, take your wife for a nice dinner, whatever it may be. Make sure you check out the Varsity Grill House. They create unforgettable experiences for big and small events. and for signature dishes to custom menus. It is the Varsity Grill House, your home for good times and great food. See you there, right next to the Academy Sports and Outdoors on Highway 6 is the Varsity Grill House. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. What is our next guest? It's like freaking Pat McAfee can take a show on the road. Like he's going to be at the Auburn and Arkansas game on Saturday, September 21st. SEC Unfiltered is just dominating. Look at this, Chris Phillips on the Boss Firearms Hotline joining us here on the show. Got a shirt framed in the background. I can't even afford a frame. He's over there getting it custom made. Chris, what's up, man?
David, what's going on, man? Amazon's a great place, by the way. I'll send you the link after this. But no, congratulations to you guys, man. The new studio is beautiful. And I feel like you've never looked so clear in my entire life, man. You sound great, too. You look great. Doing great, man. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much. That's what plastic surgery and makeup does for you. Hey, and HGH and steroids. Anyway, can we start with A&M for a second? Because I feel, remind me, all right, there's a lot of analysts out there. I feel you weren't very high initially after the Notre Dame game, which I understand why, right? I get it. But after the Florida game, and we all know Florida's a dead man walking in Billy Napier, have you kind of turned the corner like, okay, I see what they're doing with Marcel Reed. I see what the offensive line's doing. I see the running game. So have you do you see different light when it comes to A&M now?
Well, so I'll say this, David. I had A&M losing to Notre Dame during week one. That was one I felt like I was one of the very, very few that took the Fighting Irish in that game, and it sort of played out how I thought it would. So that didn't really change my opinion on Texas A&M to the negative all that much. I mean, I picked them to go 7-5 over the summer. Thought they could potentially be an 8-4 team. So like I still would say I feel that way. And I actually, again, had A&M beating Florida over the summer too. So I think I'm 3-0 on the Aggies at this point. But no, listen, really good win. I mean, you rushed for over 300 yards. I love the fit that Marcel Reed is in that offense. The dual threat dynamic nature. I mean, I think you could argue maybe he's a better fit in Colin Klein's system and scheme than Connor Wigman. And Connor Wigman, I think, the better overall quarterback maybe at this point, but it's a great position to be in. You've got two guys that I think you believe can go out there and win you football games. So yeah, I mean, listen, we can talk about Florida and they're in disarray, but that was a game they desperately needed, right? I mean, if they would have come out and won that football game, maybe we're talking about the Gators building some momentum, but you got to give A&M a lot of credit going in there, sensing sort of that this thing was teetering on the edge and the Aggies putting the foot on their throat and not letting off. I mean, it was a really impressive win. And I loved Mike Elko's quote in the postgame that it's been 0 days since our last road win. So A&M was my pick in that game. I felt good about A&M going in. I had them actually covering in that game, David. And, so to see them take care of the business, I was not surprised. And, now you've got Bowling Green upcoming this weekend. Not a team that, moves without a pulse or anything, right? They gave Penn State a good game, but another opportunity to come back out, build momentum. You're back home at Kyle Field. So, yeah, I mean, I like what I'm seeing from A&M so far. And then, of course, the defense. I mean, they were suffocating as well, and you expect that from a Mike Elko group. All right, so you had your 7-5, 8-4 prediction based on what you thought of A&M. Can that evolve now that we know stuff about other teams? I don't remember who the 4 or 5 losses were, but LSU seems very beatable, especially at Kyle Field. South Carolina, I'm TBD on them, even though they should have beat LSU. I want to see how that travels to Kyle. Actually, A&M's going to South Carolina. But when you talk about these teams, do you see some areas I'm not so sure about this team. Yeah, Texas seems to be Texas. Notre Dame, they lost that one. When you see these 4 or 5 losses, are you maybe changing on the way that some of the opponents look? I think absolutely, David. I mean, I think that's something that happens virtually every year, but especially this year. I mean, I said it going in. We've never known less about these teams just because there's so much movement with the transfer portal, and some teams are changing coaching staffs, obviously. But you just, we come into it again. We've just never known less because of all the moving pieces. I mean, I think there's going to be games certainly for, Texas A&M, where it's why the ceiling and the floor are kind of so widespread. Excuse me, with a team like Texas A&M who's got the talent they do. I mean, a game like against Missouri is winnable, right? Missouri's going to be a gettable team. Obviously, LSU at home, you feel good about that. They've had success there at Kyle Field. I still feel like A&M can go to South Carolina and win that football game, although that's one I think probably Gamecock fans, maybe they're sort of going back and forth. So, I had A&M beating Texas before the season. That's one that, I mean, who knows what that game looks like from now until the end of the year. I know Texas is flying high. They've been beating up on some non-conference competition, but I mean, once we get into SEC play, this is a week-to-week game, David. You know that. So, I mean, listen, I think I always felt like A&M can do more. I went into the season and I was openly just saying, hey, I'm a little bit more conservative just because I want to see it. But the talent's there certainly to 8-4, maybe even 9-3. And to your point, as we learn more about these teams, schedules that were once a certain level of difficulty, maybe they become a little bit more manageable. For some people, they become harder. But I think for A&M, certainly there's a couple games on there that are coin flips coming in that you could absolutely see the Aggies winning. What's the latest with, Lenore Sellers, who I know got hurt with his ankle in the LSU game? Different team without him. Absolutely a different team without him. I mean, all due respect to Robbie Ashford, there's a reason Auburn fans were they weren't sad when he left the Plains. We'll put it that way. And the offense is just different without Lenora Sellers in there. It loses some of that dynamic nature he provides. It sounds like from people I've talked to, and I think Shane Beamer actually speaks in his press conference today. He'll probably give an update. Probably a 2 to 3 week thing. I mean, they play Akron this weekend, so you're definitely, I wouldn't advise pushing it. Then you've got a bye week, and then you got the Ole Miss Rebels coming to town. So I think the goal is obviously going to be, and you keep your fingers crossed and hope that he's back for that Ole Miss game. But it doesn't sound like anything long-term, David, which is good for them because, I don't think they're going to be necessarily explosive offensively, but what I saw, we were at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday. I saw a South Carolina offense, at least in that first half while he was out there, kind of feels like they know their identity, right? They're going to run the football with Rocket Sanders. They're going to throw when they have to. They're going to use Sellers in the running game as well. So I think that can be good enough to be really, really stingy and difficult on some teams and win some games and pull some upsets and be a little bit better than I even projected South Carolina in the preseason.
I want to go back to LSU for a second because it was so big for them to get that win because had they lost that one, then I'm like, well, UCLA becomes a must-win, and then the rest of their schedule. Do you feel like Brian Kelly's going to figure it out and be a 9-10 win team like they always are with Brian Kelly and where he's been at before at Notre Dame? Or is this a year like, I see 8-4, 7-5 potential, even with that win against South Carolina?
That's a great question, David. They got some things they got to clean up, man. I mean, because even though, Garrett Nussmeier got bailed out on those 2 pick sixes and, with the penalties, I think you're probably still in the building this week in Baton Rouge saying, no, you threw 2 pick sixes. Like, it's got to get cleaned up and give South Carolina a lot of credit. Their defensive front was relentless and made him really uncomfortable, especially early in that game. But, I think LSU can still be a 10-2 team. I think you sort of have new life in this season after you get that big road win in Columbia. The big ones at Kyle Field, Ole Miss at home, Alabama at home. I mean, you kind of feel like you've got to split those two between Ole Miss and Bama. And again, Kyle Field is just that's been a house of horrors for them. So, it's shaping up. It probably, David, honestly feels like a 9-3. It does. I just think it's going to be really, of the 3 I mentioned, and I'm not even talking about the rest of the schedule. They got Oklahoma still and, the rest of their SEC slate. It's going to be really difficult, David, to go 2-1 or 3-0 in those games. I mean, it just really, really is. Again, with the rest of the SEC slate added on. So probably feels like a 9-3 right now, but I think it could be 10-2. That game at Kyle Field's kind of the kicker. Again, I just think that's a really dangerous spot for the Tigers.
Who's coaching Florida next year? In your opinion, who's the guy? Is it Kiffin? Is it who?
It's not Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
I don't know who it's going to be specifically. I mean, there's been names thrown out there like Alex Golish or, I've had somebody say Mike Gundy or Eli Drinkwitz or, maybe if Ryan Day gets canned. So much of who's going to be coaching at Florida depends on what happens. But, I don't think it's going to be Lane Kiffin. I just, gut feeling tells me, I think Lane is in a spot he really likes. He is the king of Oxford, if you will. They're building a house out there. His kids are in school out there. I understand things can change. But, I mean, David, he's in a great situation. He's in a great situation in Oxford. I mean, you never know. Lane Kiffin's a wild card. But my gut tells me it will not be Lane. I know there's been a lot of chatter over the last week plus of, people saying he would crawl to Gainesville if offered the job. David, I think it's kind of disrespectful to Ole Miss, the fact we're even having for the people that are like really peddling the conversation and just making that a point of emphasis, man, we're in the midst of the season. Ole Miss is on the route. They're potentially going to do something historic this year. They have the team to do it, and we're sitting here talking about Lane Kiffin leaving. So, I mean, I understand we're in the content business, David. I don't blame you for asking me the question. I think you rolled it out in a respectful manner, but I'm just like, man, we don't think much of anything of Ole Miss football to think that he's going to crawl to Gainesville, Florida. I think there's some things to consider there.
I'm going to tell you why. I think he would have sprinted and he would have used roller skates to come to College Station last year. In fact, I'm 100% positive on that. That's what I feel. I think he would have. And Florida's won national championships. They just need the right guy. And they haven't had the right guy. And maybe they had the right guy in Dan Mullen, got rid of him a little early.
Well, so much of it, too, I think, David, is do you have the right leadership in place?
Yeah.
Right? Who is Lane Kiffin working for? I think that's a big thing, too, where, do you get rid of Scott Strickland first? Do you not get rid of him at all? They've got a situation going on with the president. There's a lot of moving pieces, which is why I think you have not seen Florida make the move yet. I think they got a lot of stuff to get figured out on the back end first.
Great stuff as always, my friend. Thanks so much for doing it.
David, always a pleasure, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all keep up the great work there at TexAgs.
Appreciate you. Chris Phillips there, SEC Unfiltered, does wonderful work, good buddy of the show. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back. Johnny, I got to read your text. All right, I got to read it. Like it's not mean, by the way. You should play one game at a time, David. Stop saying who Texas A&M should beat. We're going to address that. Okay? And I almost started doing it now because I felt I started getting. I'll wait, Johnny. I'll wait. Just stay here. All right. Did you know you can use your own body's healing properties to revitalize your achy joints? Yeah, you know it because I've been telling you about it. QC Kinetics. Hello. Knock on the door. Go say hi. Real lasting pain relief. We're talking about regenerative medicine. If you're tired of having arthritic pain in your hips, your backs, your knee, wherever it may be, right? If you've got this pain that's been lingering, you should do something about it, and you should reach out to QC Kinetics. They have the regenerative medicine, and their local medical professionals there are going to give you the best treatments around. People here in town in the Bryan College Station area in the Brazos Valley are raving about it. You can go and check it out for yourself, get a free consultation. They got Mitchell Scheinkup, who's the leader, their director of medical, their medical director, excuse me. And he's going to help you through his process and make sure that you're getting the best possible pain relief out there, and that is using regenerative medicine. They've got tens of thousands of satisfied patients. You don't have to get steroids or shots. You can look at this as a great option. Take action now. Get lasting joint pain relief immediately. Call them up, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000, 979-452-6000. All right, it's time to end the day with Double Daves. Let's go with caller number 12 here, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984. They have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. All right, let's get to that text message, shall we? Johnny Jones on the YouTube page. I know you mean this with respect, Johnny. You should play one game at a time, David. Stop saying who Texas A&M should beat. I highly recommend you listen to Coach Elko's radio show because that is what a coach thinks, okay? And that's what a player should think. You're exactly right, Johnny. And since you're one of the players on the team, I recommend you listen to that show. And by the way, it's a very good show that I listen to myself. That being said, this is a talk show where we talk things out. Sometimes they're opinions, sometimes it's analysis, sometimes it's insight, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. And when I talk about what I think A&M should do, that makes for a 3-hour show. If I just took it one game at a time, what the hell would I have talked about this summer, Callie? Only Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's it. No, sorry, spring game, then Notre Dame.
No looking forward.
Johnny, yes. You shouldn't overlook any opponent. You're 100% correct. But I'm sorry that I have expectations and a standard for my football team that I've been waiting for them to be elite for a long time. I'm sorry that I expect them to beat the teams they should beat. Doesn't mean they do it. Doesn't say I'm predicting they're going to go 12-0. I sound annoyed. I'm not. I like to talk sometimes the way I talk. Anyway, Johnny, no. That's not what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to take it one game at a time. I'm going to talk about all things. By the way, is it okay to think about the baseball team being really good? Is that okay? Is it okay to think?
It's okay with me.
Is it okay for me to think that the basketball team might make it to the Sweet 16, that should be what we hope for? Is that okay? Is it okay to think about wrestling matches and already tell you who I think is going to win the predetermined match? What's okay, what's not? Is it okay for me to have an opinion on a movie that's coming out? I think the next Deadpool is going to be good. No, you can't say it.
We're not there yet.
Actually, I think that one's okay because that'd be the next movie. But I can't go two Deadpools down the road.
Yeah.
So disregard, Johnny. You're right on that one. No, I'm not going to, we should win these games. A&M should beat Bowling Green. I think today they should beat Arkansas. I could change my mind in a week. If they lose, I know, I got to go, guys. I got worked up. More on the rewind. I'm sure I'll do a whole segment on this. Or not. We'll see you next time.